They were a segment of the Republican Party.
Who?
That
Name
that
one.
He's Stevens. He's an example.
Oh, now he had a name. Ah!
It's not good and it's not reasonable to say that Republicans are representing black people's interests.
Let me put this in simplistic terms.
Why the fuck would you even say that?
If it is the case that property taxes, right, fund our school systems, build them up, okay? And we see redlining literally labeled neighborhoods where black people are living.
The Dems are so doomed if every argument is some proxy for capital. Well, yes, but it doesn't. It's different here for black people.
No more than you want to get to the bottom of a conversation. If you're 25 and under, the leading cause of death for you is being murdered by another black person.
Think you full of shit. That is the whole thesis of Up From Slavery.
No, it's
Did
not.
you read the book?
I did not read the book.
There you go. Then you don't know what you're talking about.
Know
You are uneducated.
To say that Donald Trump is racist is the craziest thing I've heard.
Donald Trump.
Have you ever met Donald Trump?
Is systemic racism holding the black community back? Or has it become an excuse to avoid personal responsibility? Now, John was a little too white to handle this topic, so you got me. I'm Paris Rose from Jubilee Media, and this is Surrounded, where one brave soul faces a room full of disagreeers. Today, we're diving into policing in black communities, whether Republicans are better for the black community than Democrats, and the debate over systemic racism. I'm here with our featured guest, former police officer
I don't think racism's good.
Wow, so brave.
Commentator Brendan Tatum. I'm so happy to see you today. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm happy.
All right, you ready to take everyone on?
Oh, we about to get busy in here. So.
Oh, I'd love to hear. Are you guys ready? Yeah! They sound ready. All right, let's go.
Hi, I'm Officer Tatum, and I'm the host of The Officer Tatum Show, and I'm surrounded by black liberals.
This guy's fucking crazy, by the way.
By officer, do you mean like he's like a cop?
My
I think
first
he's an ex-cop,
surrounded
I
claim
think.
is Trump and Republicans are better for the black community than Democrats.
If you'd like to be the first debater, get to that chair in 3, 2, 1.
Naima, nice to meet you.
Naima,
Yeah.
nice to meet you as well.
Before I do my rebuttal, I would just like to know why you think that.
Well, there's a myriad of reasons. I think that conservative policies are more beneficial to the black community. It's more beneficial to America, which black people are part of America. And I think that policies like limiting immigration or illegal immigration, getting illegal immigrants out of this country, lowering taxes, all benefit black people as a whole. Religious freedom, you name it, every single policy that I can think about that Republicans have implemented, that they stand for, the values they stand for are all better off for black people than Democrats could ever dream of.
How have you okay. But first of all, religious freedom is not just a Republican policy.
Where have I seen this lady before?
She's been on
That's just in the
She's been on a few Jubilees, and I think this is the one who had the boyfriend open the jar for Andrew Wilson moment.
Oh, the Queen.
Yeah, this lady is very sharp.
Well, what do you mean? I was thinking about the jar thing.
Well, yeah, but now it sounds like you're thinking of a thing in your head that's way more extreme than what I was thinking.
I was thinking one guy, one jar. What were you thinking?
Oh, okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's called one guy, one jar, but close enough. Okay.
Far more freedom, believing in freedom of religion than Democrats could ever
Just
dream
play
of.
the song. I'm leaving. Bye. Play.
I don't want to harp on that. That's in the Constitution. That's just not
religion
true.
from
But
every single aspect of life. No.
But I just want to focus on which one of Trump's policies specifically has been designed to help the black community.
Well, First Step Act has been designed to reverse the effects of over-policing from the past.
He has done that.
The First Step Act, yes, it was.
Okay.
To allow for people who were incarcerated with sentencing for drug dealing and less violent crimes for them to have some relief. My uncle got out on the First Step Act.
Okay.
Urban revitalization.
Yeah.
Injecting money into these inner city communities. Permanent funding for HBCUs, which Barack Obama never did. Donald Trump implemented.
Okay.
I mean, I can go down a list.
Yeah,
and I think that lowering taxes and all the other benefits that Americans get is also beneficial to black people.
So it's funny because I've watched some of your videos, I've heard these talking points before, and I actually looked into all of these, and there's not a ton of quantitative impact on how those have actually affected just the black community. But let's talk about the Republican Party and Trump and his policies as a whole. Do you think that Trump reposting a video in which one of his supporters screams white power was beneficial to the black community?
I'm not familiar with some video that he posted.
Well, I mean, you should be,
Let's talk about Democrat policy.
You should be,
Let's talk about Democrat
no,
policy.
defeated.
No, now you're off.
He absolutely. I would bet all 7 of my balls right now that if you looked on this guy's fucking Twitter, he's got comments about like, oh, that video wasn't a big deal. Oh, I don't know anything or whatever. Or not, I don't know anything. He's commented on it. There's no way he has never heard about this. I don't believe that.
Skating. You are the one who has the burden.
It says right here.
I'm sorry. I do not want to be interrupted.
It says right here
I do not want to be
that
interrupted.
Trump and Republicans are better than the Democrat
exactly.
policies.
So the burden of proof is on
No, it's not.
you.
We're not in a
Yes.
trial.
No, this is how a debate works. You've made a claim that you have to substantiate, and you have yet to do that.
I am wrong. So how are you correct in that Democrat policies are better than Republican
Well,
policies?
actually, do you want to know my personal
with it.
belief is that the Democrats are fundamentally kind of apathetic to the needs of black people, while Republicans are openly antagonizing the black community.
Give me an example.
So, I mean,
what
an
policy
example.
position is negative towards black people that Republicans implement?
Trump this year intentionally got rid of the disparate impact analysis. So what the disparate impact analysis does is that it analyzes laws that were made neutrally, policies that were intended to be neutral, to make sure that there were not any racial disparities as an effect of that policy, right? Accidentally. So Trump has removed the protection for the disparate impact analysis. So we don't know if the policies that we're enacting are disproportionately hurting the black community or not.
That doesn't make any sense. Any policy.
It doesn't make any sense. I agree.
No, what
It's a
you're
bad
saying
idea.
does not make any sense because the policies that are implemented,
Yes.
the majority of the ones that are in Congress are agreed upon by the House and the Senate.
Right.
Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
And so with that being said, there's black people represented. There's
Yes.
all kind of
Well,
people
that's the
represented
point.
in creating our laws and
I know, but
policies.
that's the point.
So
But
what are you
not
saying that they're
everything-
not considering
But
whether or
here's-
not it has a desperate effect on black,
So
on the black
here's the
community?
thing. When you create a policy, obviously you are creating it in good faith. But we do not know always how that policy is going to affect the
Give me an
population.
example of a
Can
policy.
I finish
Give
talking?
me an
please?
example of policy.
But I'm trying to explain
I'm running out of time.
So the point of the
I don't think he knows
disparate
what
analysis
disparate
report
impact means,
is to check to make sure that the laws that we implement in good faith don't end up hurting the black community by accident. Why would you get rid of that?
Why do you think he got rid of it,
Because
according to
he's
you?
racist.
To
Why
say
can't
that
she
Donald
an-
Trump
why
is
can't he
racist is
answer?
the craziest thing I've heard.
Donald Trump
have you,
was- oh
have
my
you,
God.
have you ever met Donald Trump personally?
What? Okay. I don't know why you just asked that, but when it comes to analyzing conservatives, your questions need to exist purely in the realm of like the rhetorical. There's never going to be a satisfying logical answer for why a conservative says anything ever. So if you're ever trying to mine like content intellectually or like argumentatively, that's just never going to be the case.
No.
You don't know him?
No. So
Why would
you've
you
met
say
Donald
I've
Trump.
met Donald Trump several
You don't know him, right? That is right, right?
So you're basing whether or not he's racist just
You don't
on
have
your
any
personal-
evidence. You're saying because he allegedly got rid of some desperate impact analysis.
I need to next year. This will be my project next year. Is being mean to people that just don't know enough to have a conversation. I guess if you're gonna have like policy debate or whatever, right? You can have a policy that is mean intentionally, or you can have a policy that's mean unintentionally. This would be like a disparate impact analysis. So like, let's say for instance, I'll get racist. Let's say for instance, we're going to say, I want to ban all people from school who listen to rap music. And let's say that when you implement that, let's say that you genuinely you're not trying to target a race. You just think rap music is bad for school or whatever, or something, or that you just hate rap. Then let's say that you find out that when you run that analysis of like the 10,000 people that you just disqualified from school, 72% of them were black people in a district where only 10% of the school population is black. Oh, well, intentionally, you didn't want that to be a racist law. And when you look at the writing and of the law and everything else, nothing in there is racist. But when you look at the impact of the law, it's a highly disparate impact. It seemed to impact one racial group or some protected group way, way, way more than any other one. So you'd say, oh, well, there's a disparate impact. Maybe we need to re-examine this law. But this is like really basic policy stuff. Like if you've never heard this before, I don't know how you would go on a show like this and argue whether or not the president is good or bad for black communities. I don't know, it's cringe.
You're saying because he allegedly got rid of some desperate impact analysis that somehow that has something to do with race and it only affects black people.
But your evidence is anecdotal. Oh, Trump was nice to me one time, therefore he's not a racist.
I have no evidence to believe that Trump is a
Of course he's nice to you,
racist.
because you are
Where's the evidence that Trump is a racist?
racism. Okay, I'll give you more evidence.
Give me
In
evidence.
1973, his company was sued for violating the Fair Housing Act by openly discriminating against black renters.
What was the findings of that?
He was actually forced to settle.
He was forced to settle.
Yes,
made
he
a
was
decision
forced to settle. No, he had
There
to
was
settle.
no finding of fault.
Why would someone settle
Was it
if they
finding
were
of
not
fault?
guilty?
You can make it.
Why would someone settle if he wasn't doing it?
Was there a determination in court that he was at fault?
Also forced to.
No. Was
yes.
there a determination in court that he was at fault?
He settled, so they didn't have a determination in court. He got out of it by settling, which is what you do when you are guilty, but you don't want to.
That's
I don't really like our argument here.
No, definitely not. You gotta, yeah. And there's better. I don't know if she'll get to that Central Park 5 or whatever. There's better arguments for why Trump is so fucking wacky.
Go to court.
That's not the
yes,
way.
That is exactly what the point of settling
works.
is. Yes,
No,
you
it's
settle
not.
out. Yes.
He had a dissent decree, which they agreed that he would implement certain things in his organization. There was no fault granted. They did not prove.
What were the
any,
things
any
that he had to implement in his company?
Recruiting. It was a form of it was that
I think you're thinking about a different lawsuit against the Trump administration.
He had to make sure that they have job applications.
What are some other reasons you would settle? Maybe you just don't want to be fucked with the whole court process. It might sometimes with certain industries there's like kind of cringe, but there's like a cost of doing business where you just expect to get sued a certain amount of times. Sometimes it's just easier to settle out than to follow through in court for all the fighting or whatever. But it really depends on. And you could also get sued for things where you decide to settle. You don't really think that there was like a big wrongdoing with the way they tried to sue. So let's say somebody sues you because they're like, oh, I think I was wrongfully terminated, and because you hate black people or something, or because you hate women. And then let's say that person takes you to court, and let's say that, you review everything that happened, and you're like, okay, I guess this guy kind of got fucked over. I don't really think there was like a racist firing here, but like, maybe you settle out for some small dollar amount that would cost you less than defending yourself in court. Does it mean that they agree that they were racist? Like, no.
It's available to minorities.
No, this wasn't about jobs. This was about the Trump Corporation, the real estate. Yes.
Court cases going to trial are really rare, by the way. Well, it just depends on if you prepare for trial, it won't. And if you don't, you will.
They violated the Fair Housing Act because...
Maybe we talking about something different.
Well, there were 2 times he was sued for racism.
I only know of one time.
Yeah, well, you should learn about the other one because it was bad too. Yes.
I don't think you know what you're talking about.
I don't think
The dissent decree, which was established, there was no findings of Donald Trump being a racist, and his organization has been without fault.
No, that was...
You cannot find a court document that says that Donald Trump officially discriminated against anybody.
He literally marked...
What's your next one?
He literally marked black applicants...
What's your next one? What's your next example of Trump being a racist?
When he reposted the Obamas as monkeys?
Now,
it's just a meme.
He already
it's a meme, you did.
He already said that he did not post that. It was somebody on his staff, and the post wasn't even about that. That was a real...
It was on his account.
And then when it came out, he denounced it. He said it was wrong.
It was on his account already.
One of the staffers posted it.
Why would one of his staffers even have that? Even if it wasn't him,
you were making the post sound like the post was about that. It was a meme created by somebody else.
Are you really depicting black people as monkeys? Like, that's crazy.
And Hillary Clinton.
That's crazy.
And Hillary Clinton was a pig. And it was all kind of people depicted as animals. It wasn't just about Barack Obama. Did Donald Trump make the video?
Has any other president done that
Did Donald Trump make the video?
Has any other president done that ever?
You're blaming him. Did Donald Trump make the video?
I don't know if he made it, but
no, he did not.
It's about what he posts.
Did he denounce what that represented?
If I posted something that said "kill all of X people," that's what I believe, right?
It's not true.
Even if I didn't type it out,
that's not true.
Put it in Canva and then post it.
If somebody posted,
look at the black. Also, look at on display the black solidarity here. She's a queen debater.
Oh, yeah, the flags.
They know she's a queen debater. They're not trying to vote her out after 2 fucking seconds.
This is the longest I've ever seen somebody on there.
Yeah.
If somebody posted some offensive on your account and you denounce it, is that a fair statement to say you don't believe in that?
No, I don't think that's true. I would like to be held accountable.
She is a little bit too all or nothing on her arguments, though. Like, you could say that, fine, that's fair, but you denounced it, that's good. But her earlier question was good. Why the fuck was that even on there in the first place? Or what is the environment that he exists in where people are even thinking that it's okay to post stuff like this? Like, in any reasonable environment, people will say that it reflects on who you are as a person, or it must reflect on some kind of decision you're making, yeah?
He said he didn't believe it.
If I hired someone to post on my behalf and they posted racist statements,
and you said
that would be on me.
And you took it down,
no.
and you told them, and you said to the world, you don't believe that to be true.
Officer Tatum, we have to pause here. All right, you have been voted out by the majority. Thank you so much for your time. If you would like to be the next debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, how you?
Hi. So I'd like to talk about Trump and the Republicans, not specifically on Trump, but focusing upon the history of the Republican Party because he's just the latest iteration of that, okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the Republican Party has a proven track record of giving platforms to sellouts who promote a message that harms black people.
Who is that? Who is the sellout that you, give me an example.
Well, there are actually quite a few, but I'll start with the earliest
let's start with this
example.
premise. The first black legislators,
right,
or the first black people in Congress.
Right.
We're all the real racists, okay?
were all Republicans.
Right. So let me explain that to you.
Is that a fact?
Why is it if all the early people always do this, like the slave owners, the people who freed the slaves and everything, these people were all the original Republicans or whatever. Yes, that the Republicans freed the slaves and it was the Democrats that fought to keep them enslaved. I've never heard anybody ask this question. Why are the Republicans today then the ones who wanted to save the Robert E. Lee statues? I don't understand that. I don't understand how they never get asked that question. Like, if these statues are all supposed to represent old historic Democratic leaders, and it was the Republicans who freed the slaves, and why is it the Republicans who are the ones today trying to save all these stupid fucking old World War II, Civil War statues with the fucking Confederacy?
Right. Yes. So basically, what happened is the last of the radical Republicans, which was a segment of the Republican Party that passed the 14th Amendment, all of the amendments that gave black people the right to vote and ensured that slaves would not be disenfranchised. He died in August 11th.
No. Black people, Republicans unanimously voted.
He died in 1868 when the 14th Amendment was passed.
The
and then
Republicans
guess what?
as a whole voted unanimously. The Democrats did not.
Right, but guess what? After the radical Republican faction left Congress,
radical Republican. They
were a historic. No. That's a title. They were historic.
Who was the radical Republican?
It's better to analyze from a geographic standpoint. No, actually, there's another way that it's better to analyze. It's actually just by switching some words. But for some reason in American politics, we use words strangely. You really should just look at the parties as being liberal or conservative. But we don't. Maybe there's some historic reason, but we tend to stay away from those words when describing our parties, or at least
we just stick with Republicans or Democrats.
Yeah, we have conservative for Republicans, but we don't ever use the word liberal to mean anything more than just Democratic Party. Because if you can understand that there were times when the Republican Party was more liberal or left or whatever, and there were times when the Democratic Party was more conservative or right, it helps, I think, understand more. But I don't know. We just whatever, bro.
They were a segment of the Republican Party.
Who?
Name one.
Thaddeus
Stevens. He's an example.
Oh, now he had a name. He did the name one gambit, and the guy could, and now he's got to move on from that point completely. Woo!
They are the ones who created the Freedmen's Bureau, which was designed to assimilate
I didn't see TikToks about this
into the national citizenry. After they left, the Republican Party constructed an oligarchy, which we called the Gilded Age, and in which we saw the fate of black people decline. Black home ownership decline. Black voting decline.
I hope they fact check you on
all
this.
Of that.
The Republicans unanimously voted.
No, not after that.
The Republicans unanimously voted for the 13th.
Seems like it's correct according to the fact check.
14th and 15th
yes,
Amendment.
Under the leadership of the radical Republicans, and they were
Republicans
progressives.
Unanimously voted for the Civil Rights Act.
Yes, and then after the radical Republicans left, they stopped doing that.
When did the radical Republicans leave? You saying the radical
1868, the last person died.
That's not true.
It is 100% true.
Because the Republicans unanimously voted
Let me get back to what I was saying. Let me get back to what I was saying.
Did Republicans unanimously vote for the Civil Rights Act?
You're bulldozing and you're steamrolling because you don't want to hear what I have to say.
Let's quantify that point.
Listen, brother.
Did Republicans unanimously
what I have
for
to
the
say.
Civil Rights Act.
Listen to what I have to say that you can respond to it, okay?
Why don't you answer that question?
Booker T. Washington was fated by the white racist establishment. He had tea at Windsor Castle by Queen Victoria.
Wait, have you ever seen the movie Devil Wears Prada?
A long time ago.
I'm guessing you didn't see Devil Wears Prada too.
No.
He met Susan B. Anthony. He was allowed to create the Tuskegee Institute because he was promoting this myth of personal responsibility, which harms black people.
The most successful documented black man who lifted so many black people from poverty to success was Booker T. Washington.
No, he did not. Jim Crow
was incredible for black success in America.
The institutionalization of Jim Crow was a direct result of his false message.
What was his false message?
His message was that black people were not fit to participate in the political process.
That's not true.
Because slavery had set them backwards.
Where do you see
all of
that
the
Booker
black
T. Washington mentions
congressmen,
that?
it's in his book.
You saying he mentioned that black people were not fit to
Yes,
participate
that
in
is
the
the whole thesis of Up From Slavery.
No, it's
Did
not.
you read the book?
I did not read the book.
There
He doesn't know anything. There's no way he hasn't heard of any of this before. He did not come in prepared for this. Jesus.
It's gonna be
Because
Darius.
then
during
you
the
don't
video.
know what you're talking
I
about.
know other.
Let me tell you
I
something,
know
brother.
other
I am a
things.
history teacher.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
I teach in the public school
Let me
system.
finish what I'm
You
saying.
are uneducated.
Let me finish what I'm saying. You cannot
You don't
teach
know
in the
what you're
public school
talking
system
about.
if you're telling me
Oh my
that
God, he
Republicans
calls
did
them
not
racist.
unanimously vote for the 13th, 14th,
You are
15th
being
Amendment and the Civil Rights
You
Act.
are being given
You cannot tell me you're a teacher
as a
if you are
token,
not, and you do not understand.
You are
Wait,
lying
guys,
about
do
the
not
historical
talk over
record.
each other. We can't
Republicans-
hear anything either you were saying.
He's not allowing me to make a single point.
Because I'm making points.
No, because you're afraid
Of what?
of the truth.
I just explained to you.
When you
I just explained to you.
when
Why
you
can't
earn
you
a living
answer-
off of lies, you are afraid of the
Give
truth.
me a lie that I've told.
The idea that Republican policies benefited black people, and that
I
is
just
not
gave
true.
you Republican policies.
No, let me
Give me
give you an example.
Give me examples that they've hurt black people.
I'll give you an example. During the Hoover administration, 43% of the black people who were employed in domestic work. And the reason for that is because they were shut out of truly gainful employment. And the segment who was hurt the most were black men. Black women could get jobs as maids and things of that sort. But black men, any job that gave them the opportunity for social dignity, value, and worth, they were systematically denied. And a lot of it had to do with Booker T. Washington's message. Now, guess what?
Booker T. Washington's message
has been harmful.
that I have.
You have not
I've
read the book.
portions of his message.
No, read the whole book.
I will read the whole book. But you cannot sit here and tell me that Booker T. Washington's message was
It hurt
disenfranchising to black people.
And guess what?
That's not true.
Guess what he acknowledges in his book?
So the Tuskegee Institute was detrimental to black people.
Guess what he said?
No. Was the Tuskegee
yes, it was.
Institute
And let me tell you
detrimental to black
why.
people?
He acknowledged that
That is
the
insane.
people in Tuskegee, Alabama, the white community there, only allowed him to create that institute because he assured them he would not be teaching them anything that would lift them out of domestic status, anything that pertained to higher education, any knowledge of their history, or just the humanities, anything that white people took for granted in normal universities. It was
from
designed to keep
slavery.
black people oppressed.
Let
That
me
was
talk.
the point.
Up from slavery. Booker T. Washington had a message of black success and personal accountability.
I will say I don't know anything about Booker T. Washington, so I can't pretend to know or not know whether or not the guy's summary of him is correct. I will say that historically, you have to be very careful how you analyze people's like words and like I'm not trying to correct this guy because everything he's saying could be like 100% factually true, but like different people will make different arguments for different reasons. So like if Booker T. Washington was trying to make the argument that like, listen, like I can educate blacks, they're not going to be a threat to whites, like, you know, we're not going to teach them like crazy shit that's going to let them rise up and kill you and blah, blah, blah. It could be that Booker T. Washington guy was maybe kind of like a racist piece of shit. It could also be that strategically he knew that the only way that he was ever going to get these types of reforms or programs or educational things, opportunities made available to these people is to give these types of reassurances to racist white people. I don't know. I can't speak at all to the factuality of this, but obviously neither can the Officer Tatum guy.
And responsibility.
And it's
he
a
did
lie.
not
And it's a
depend
lie.
on the government to do the things that black people
Yes,
could
he
already
did
do.
deny on the government.
He did not.
Yes, he
did.
did.
not make his mission and his plan to
Yes,
say
he
that
did.
black people should depend on the government.
This is the
That
lie
is a
for
lie.
everybody who is listening to me. The lie is that black people should focus solely upon family and their economic status and ignore agitations
It's
for
not
social
ignoring, it's
social
prioritizing.
equality. No,
It's
and he actually
prioritizing
says
the family,
he actually says in that
personal
book
responsibility.
that agitations for social equality are the extremist folly because black people are not prepared to be social equals to white people. He actually says that
That's
has
not-
been the
that's not a
program of the
pejorative.
Republican Party ever since
First
then.
of all, that's a lie.
And now, guess what else
That's a
happened?
lie.
That's a lie.
So, after
Why did the Democrats have, until Cory Booker recently, had the longest filibuster against the Civil Rights Act?
right, I'll tell you
The
why.
longest in history,
So basically, what
besides the
happened
recent one.
is prior to that act, there were a number of Dixiecrats who were the inheritors.
Racist Democrats.
I'll tell you, the inheritors of slavery, chattel slavery, and then the Jim Crow era that
Racist
took its
Democrats.
place. Guess
does
what?
chattel mean?
After those
I think when somebody says chattel slavery, I think the specific connotation there is like slave from birth to death.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I used to think these are kind of woke cringe positions, but apparently it is true that the institution of slavery in the United States of America was actually pretty unique in that it was considered, I don't actually know if at any point in human history before the United States instantiated slavery, there would be like races of people that could be considered slaves for the entirety of their life, as well as their children from birth to death. I don't know if that had ever existed ever in any part of
Was it
human
usually
history.
like you did like a few years of slavery? And
It
then
could be
you
some
were
form
free,
of
or-
servitude like that, like debt stuff. It could be that if somebody lost a war, that some, the other people or men and women were taken as slaves or whatever. It could be religious related reasons or whatever. Like these are things that existed historically, but the idea that just because of your race, from birth to death, you are now a slave and you always will be, and there's nothing you can do, no matter what, to ever get your way out of that. That was a pretty unique American institution. Yeah.
The Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act were passed
Unanimously
guess
by
what?
Republicans.
Yet there was a 20 to 30% shift away from the Democratic Party into the Republican Party. And then, surprisingly, Nixon begins his war on drugs, which is a part of his law and order program. And guess what happens? Black people become 6 to 7 times higher to be arrested for drug abuse versus white people. They are mass incarcerating us, and it is directly tied to Republican policy.
No, it's
Okay, we
not.
have to
I feel
pause
like this is
here.
the
We have to-
slowest I've ever seen flags raised. Usually, like maybe white people are the bad ones. Holy shit!
Whoa, bro.
Pause here. You have been voted out by the majority. Thank you so much. If you would like to be the next...
You see this graph? Does it fill you with hope? What, a low Donald Trump approval rating? No.
I have no right now.
I think the thing that I just don't understand how you can make this happen is like the news people, the alternative media people, whoever the fuck you're watching, people need to be held accountable for really, really, really bad predictions. And I just don't know why that doesn't exist at all in our media environment. It kind of drives me fucking insane. But like
I already called the Senate for Dems.
Sure. I don't necessarily mean like predicting like who's going to win an election or not, but in terms of like being able to say, if you vote for a Republican, like this is likely what's going to happen. There were just too many pundits that were like these weird conservative dick sucks who were just so fucking wrong on everything that would happen. And the fact that they can just make the worst types of predictions ever and then just, hop and skip on to the next election cycle with no like negative career impact or whatever, that nobody looks at them differently, that's just crazy to me.
Debater, get to that chair in 3, 2, 1. Ooh.
Watch out now. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So, your claim is that Trump and Republicans are better for the black community than Democrats.
Yes.
Okay. I think that claim is patently false, and let me explain why. Take the institution of voting, the most sacred thing that the Constitution protects.
Oh, God.
Something that we need for elected officials to
He's
represent
so excited to get
us.
into election fraud in
Repeatedly,
2020.
Republicans have used the judiciary to discriminate against black people in voting.
How?
We have cases like Louisiana versus Calais. The recent case that in 2026 has caused all the redistricting crisis that you see right now.
This guy brings up, first of all, is black, sounds autistic, cites specific relevant Supreme Court case that has just recently been subject of contention. Uh-oh.
And when you see the effects of that for the black community, the Congressional Black Caucus is set to lose 16 to 19%, or it's not 16 to 19 members, 30% of its representation. Regardless of anything that you are saying communities should be doing, you have to still elect people to represent you to make those policy decisions.
Yeah, but
let me finish. I'm going to
okay,
finish.
I'll let you finish.
If you are erasing the ability for people to have that representation and you're making it even harder to vote, like decisions like Shelby v. Holder, which makes it harder to eliminate discriminatory laws, or you have cases like Brnovich v. DNC, which are striking the ability to challenge laws that we think are discriminatory for mail-in voting. It's not good and it's not reasonable to say that Republicans are representing black people's interests.
Let me put this in simplistic terms.
Why the fuck would you even say that? This guy over here sounds like he's in law school. Like fucking Jesus. Let me break this time for you.
Voting is a sacred right.
Yes.
Right? And black people were afforded voting rights, which we all should fight for.
By Republicans.
Having voter ID is protecting that sacred right that black people will make sure that black people can actually vote without being eliminated in their voting power by illegal aliens.
This goes beyond.
Let me go point by point.
Wait.
Want to allow
this goes way beyond
illegal
voter
aliens
ID. This goes way
to vote
beyond
in the elections.
This goes way beyond
And they don't
voter
want
ID. You
secure
simply
elections.
don't want. They simply don't want people who are black to be elected.
How is that possible?
Because majority and minority districts were created by the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
True. He has to be in law school or as a lawyer or something.
That specific piece of legislation, which Republicans have repeatedly targeted through decades, has said, hey, there was history done here that harmed people, and as a way to make up for it, slowly over time, we need to designate specific areas, black populous areas, to have accurate representation
And what
of
did the
folks.
Supreme Court rule?
The Supreme
they just
Court
axed it.
ruled that, hey, actually, no, you guys don't
Racism's
need this
over.
representation.
Because you cannot
this
do
is
it
unconstitutional.
based on race.
Certainly you can.
You cannot redistrict and you cannot do that based on race.
You cannot deny black people from having the right to vote and represent themselves.
Okay, let me explain.
Because you have white people in Louisiana versus Calais. That's what the case is.
Pause here. Let
this is-
Officer Tatum speak.
Okay, this is the problem here. You are assuming that black people can only vote for Democrats.
I didn't assume
yes,
that
you
at all.
are, because the
No,
redistricting.
I didn't. Where did I say that?
Because
when did I say
I'm
that?
saying you're insinuating that.
I'm not
because
insinuating
you
that
cannot
either.
draw
Nothing.
lines of demarcation based on race. That is against the United States Constitution. They ruled that, which is why they had to redraw lines. Black people have a right to vote for anybody that they want that acts in the best interest of the black community or the community at large.
I'm trying to think of what the name, there's got to be like this fallacy where somebody is like very articulate, and it tends to be people who like blanket themselves in like the concept of logic a lot, but they don't have like a macro understanding of a thing, and they end up missing like the actual like nuanced or in the weeds understanding of a thing. I don't know how else to explain this. It's like in a lot of law for the United States, even your sacred constitutional rights, a lot of people seem to not understand that basically every single right you have in the United States, there's some kind of balancing test related to these things. I don't think there's any absolute anything in the U.S. except for criminal protections for the president of the fucking United States now. But aside from that, I don't think there's any like absolute 100% freedom of whatever protections or absolute protection from ever being racist ever. You can never do anything based on race ever. And it's like, if I make a Martin Luther King movie, am I allowed to exclusively hire black people to audition for the role of Martin Luther King? Or can I have like a woman's only gym? Is that okay? Or can I advertise Jerry curl to black people instead of to all races? Like there's balancing tests for all of these things, because you're trying to protect the right like as a whole. And sometimes that requires you, I don't know if you could say semi-paradoxically, it might require you to consider that class or thing in a micro instance in order to protect the thing as a whole. So if you see that, states are able to gerrymander in such a way that 98% of black people in a state seem to not have their voice heard ever, because 98% of them are voting one way and they have zero representatives in Congress, this is the basis by which the Voting Rights Act would consider, these majority minority districts. You create these districts, it's like, okay, well, it seems like black people, no matter what, are never going to get their representatives elected if not for this type of protection. So you would like consider race when creating some of these districts. Now, if you're functionally retarded, or if you're Alito, and I guess the rest of the conservatives that agreed, I guess you can disagree on that, and you can say, well, that doesn't matter at all, because I am going to go back to the ultra. Everything I just said, actually, none of this applies to the modern Supreme Court, so fuck me. But typically, a lot of stuff in law is like they're balancing tests to make sure that whatever right you're actually trying to protect, you're actually like achieving that income, or I'm sorry, you're achieving that outcome, not income, by the whatever process or procedure you're going through.
Doesn't have to always be Democrats.
There's a reason why black people vote for Democrats, and there's a reason why there's only five elected Republicans in Congress that are black.
Which is the problem in the black community today. The consistency of voting for these Democrats who ain't done nothing for black people and still haven't. We're to this day.
This applies to also earlier to that, the disparate outcome analysis that the one girl was bringing up earlier too. You might have a law that doesn't seem to be racist at all, but then when you look at the impact of that law, it has an insanely disparate outcome. It's like, oh, well, maybe we go back to the drawing board and we reconsider this.
Many people that are sitting around here are still complaining about the plight against the black people, but y'all still vote for Democrats. And Democrats have been elected in office for the majority of the time in the last decade.
Republicans have done
what
way,
have they done?
Republicans
Nothing
have,
for black people.
Republicans have done way more damaging things, even just
That is
as
not
of
true.
as
Give
of
me an
recent.
example.
Just recently with Doge, we had the highest exodus of black women in the federal workforce. I'm not sure if you're not.
Bro, the Doge stuff is so bad. I keep getting emails from people. I brought up my one NASA friend, but I get emails from people in other areas too, where you just have you've had such an exodus of talent from so many of these parts of the government and so many of these like universities and stuff, and all of these young people that just basically took the Doge buyout. I'm not necessarily blaming them, but these people that all took these buyouts and hold on, I got another email from a guy yesterday. Actually, let me read this real quick. It's a short one, but hi, Stephen. The situation at the NIH is catastrophic at the moment, and I feel barely anybody is speaking about this. Even people with perfect scores and grant applications are still waiting to get an acceptance response. Already over 6 months waiting. No one knows why. The speculation is that it has to do with, 1, the mass layoff slash resignation. A lot of the people that assess grants took the Doge option to leave or were fired. 2, all grants have to pass a DEI assessment through some political appointee that is taking their sweet time to read because they don't understand science. 3, Trump/RFK is trying to both attack science they don't care about and potentially think they can save some money by spending less of the congressionally appropriated funds. The worst part is scientists don't want to talk about it because they are afraid of the vindictive government taking their grants for speaking out, as many in Ivy Leagues had to wait almost a year to see their funds. While this happens, foreign students and workers cannot be paid and thus have to return, mostly back to China. There's a massive brain drain to this country. Although the writer does says, since I last wrote to you on a brighter note, I got a job at very prestigious university. Thank you. At Yale. I don't think that would out him, but there you go. Thanks, buddy.
Oh my God, bro. He works at Yale?
Bruh.
Aware of that information, but
Doge,
wait, I'm not sure if
the
you're aware of that
purpose
information,
of Doge
but
is cutting spending.
and cutting spending for social
So you
services,
think
increasing poverty, increasing crime,
We cut
increasing
spending.
death, and harming people over and over
We're
again who are
cutting
doing
spending. No,
nothing
no,
to
no.
help the black community
No, no,
and
you
trying
want-
to perpetuate a policy platform that insists that black people need to be put down is not
That
going
is
to
a lie.
put people forward.
And funding is drying up for university for research. People are leaving to do research in Europe because things are actually getting funded and being paid. We're losing so much of higher EDU talent, and it will set us back. Yeah, it sucks because it's like these types of issues aren't going to show up until down the road, and it's just going to be so hard to claw it back. It's another like Strait of Hormuz moment where somebody realizes like God can bleed or whatever. Like if the United States has such a huge advantage and edge over so many other countries, but if we start to lose that and other countries that have like caught up, I feel like we could just slide infinitely into the abyss on that shit because the U.S. just gets so much leeway in being fucking retarded.
That is a lie.
Absolutely
You are
not.
saying that we're going to cut government spending, but we should leave all the black people there because they're black.
No, we
If
should.
we're cutting
While you are functionally correct, there is a legal fiction in the U.S. that rights are absolute and not balances / proportionality considered. We carve out rights instead of balancing them. Well, sure, I guess if if your client needs you to argue that, but I mean, generally speaking, right? Like all of these things are generally conditional on the circumstances and environment around them, right?
You're saying that we're going to cut government spending, but we should leave all the black people there because they're black.
No, we
If
should,
we're cutting government spending,
we should increase government spending by taxing the rich, funding our communities, and putting us in jail instead of putting people in power.
Taxing the rich is a foolish statement by you. What do you mean by taxing the rich?
We in California have already seen.
That's why people are leaving California.
Oh, wait.
That's why
It's been a while since we've debated conservatives, but for every, just as a quick reminder, I guess, if you don't remember, for every annoying fucking time I have to hear a lefty talk about how fucking taxing billionaires will save us and blah, 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 don't forget, there's a retarded fucking conservative that legitimately believes that if you up the tax bracket on like a fucking person earning massive amounts of money by like 2 points, that they're all going to fucking flee the country and move to fucking Uganda or whatever because they just can't handle the 42% income tax instead of the 39% income tax.
Business owners are leaving here. Companies are leaving. They're fleeing.
In California, even in the basic past, when we taxed the rich, we were able to fund the University of
They
California
leave.
systems. And what did Ronald Reagan do? Ronald Reagan said, let's slash that because black people need to suffer, communities need to go down. And what do we know? Now we have budget. Now we have budget deficits affecting our systems. We have laws from the 1970s still
Let's
on the
talk
books
about taxing the rich.
Oh wait.
That is a lie.
We can talk about taxes too. Let's go.
Are still selling black folks to this day.
That
Taxing the rich they're not going to change the tax code. So taxing the rich is a myth. Would you benefit more financially if you left California?
Depends on how I use my money because I'm a smart person.
It doesn't matter about being smart because the taxes are out of control.
I think money and how you manage
taxes-
it with your as your person. When we talk about
All
personal
right, we have to
If you
pause
manage
it
money
here.
well, you're still going to be
We
less
do have to pause it
successful
here.
here
You've been
financially.
voted out by the majority. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Pleasure talking with you.
If you would like to be the next debater, get to
Brother.
that chair in 3, 2, 1.
What? Problem? Shoulders?
Right.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I wanted to ask, just in terms of him refusing to sign not only the Affordable Housing Act, but also refusing to sign the bipartisan 2024 bill when it comes to putting more money on our borders, right? Because you talked about immigration. Why would he refuse these acts if, in reality, if we put more money there, we would have more officers and less fear, and we would be able to actually have legal immigration streamlined more cleanly? Because the question is not, I'm guessing you're not against immigration, you're against illegal immigration. Or-
Put your flags up. Get her out.
Okay,
Get her out of
okay.
here.
For the
What?
most
What's
part,
wrong?
I'm against illegal
Stuttering.
immigration, but I also believe we
Hater.
need to
You're a hater.
measure how much immigration we're actually allowing in this country when people in America have needs that we need to address
How
here.
do you measure that?
We allow 1 million immigrants legally in the United States of America
Okay.
every single year, and we all in here care about the issues that
From
go
your experience on these surrounded vids, how much did they cut out? Ooh, almost nothing for these. Because you can tell it would be really awkward because they have a timer in the background, so they can't they can't really cut.
on in the black community. I would
Yes.
argue that black people need the financial support that we're giving these immigrants that are coming over here. I think it's not right.
Illegal immigrants actually don't get
Legal-
federal.
Do you not think this format of YouTube video is incredibly harmful? Incredibly harmful? No, I mean, it's not ideal. But I mean, in a world today where the political meta is to avoid confrontation as much as possible, I think it's better than doing that, than being as avoidant as possible.
support.
They do get federal support.
Illegal immigrants,
If
fact
it-
check that. Illegal immigrants do not have federal support. But actually, what I will say is that immigrants overall
True.
pay taxes.
Immigrants,
and put money-
immigrants,
illegal immigrants do not get federal
get
support.
access to
Illegal
social
or
programs.
immigrants?
They get access
Illegal
to
immigrants or
Medicare.
immigrants?
They get access to all immigrants, but illegal immigrants do as well.
Oh, I'm talking about specifically the border bill. Why did he reject that
Because
one?
because bills are not
There's a
isolated.
growing sentiment among Redditors that Jubilee is a right-wing psyop. That's because all the Redditors are fucking tankies. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say?
It's got a bunch of minutia, a bunch of spending that he doesn't agree with, and the Republicans don't agree with.
What did he not agree with?
All of those bills have
No, actually, a
excess
lot
spending.
of Republicans, it was a bipartisan bill.
Well, then why?
Oh,
You
she's
tell
talking
me
about
why
the border
he didn't
bill.
sign it.
No, I'm asking
No,
you.
you tell me why he didn't sign it then.
I'm asking you.
You're saying that he's doing it because he's
No,
racist.
I'm not. I'm
Right?
not saying.
She's talking about the border bill?
Why are you putting one to? I genuinely am trying to ask you why didn't he?
The bill is not just singularly about border patrol.
But
It's
okay,
not.
we're talking about
We do
healthcare.
we do have to pause
By
here.
2034, 10
We
million
have to
Americans
pause
are going to
here. The
lose
clock
their
has run
health
out.
care.
I'm so sorry. Thank you both so much.
So that's
Love the passion, though.
I'm dune-pilled. I think
Time moves
Americans
fast.
need to suffer until they vote
Jesus
better.
Christ.
But your credit score doesn't have to stay stuck. I remember how overwhelmed I felt trying to fix my
Yeah, let the worm.
Hold on.
Give me a worm.
Oh, never mind.
What?
Nothing. Yeah.
No, what?
I don't know. Never mind.
No, what?
Well, I'm just. Do you think they choose the ads per?
Oh.
Like, if the next ad was for like menthols.
credit score doesn't have to stay stuck. I remember how overwhelmed I felt trying to fix my credit. It felt like a catch-22, where you need credit to build credit. Then I found
True.
Kickoff. Signing up took minutes on my phone
What?
with no credit
That's true.
check and no hidden fees. For users with credit under 600, they see an average growth of 86 points. Kickoff helps you score big when it comes to credit. Plans start at just $5 a month with zero interest. Start building credit.
What? Share with the class. If you're gonna laugh, share with the class. You know what I hate? You know the worst types of people are people who laugh at things and they don't tell you what they're laughing at, and then you feel like a retard because you're getting left out.
Well, I'll DM it to you.
Oh, so it's one of those.
That's it.
Are you just repeating my joke that
Yes,
I just said?
yes,
Oh
yes,
my God, dude.
yes.
Come on, bro.
with Kickoff today and get your first month for as little as $1. That's
How would you solve the problem with starting credit and bringing up credit score? For if you're lucky, you have a family that helps you by giving you like one of those little starter credit cards that they fund with their bank account. Or I guess you can get a starter credit card and you can fund it with your bank account. Like you connect it. It's like a checking credit.
It's like a secured credit card. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
It's 80% off the normal price when you go to getkickoff.com/surrounded today. That's kickoff without the C. Get KIKOFF.com/surrounded.
Yeah, I saw this. I don't know what else. I don't know how many more times I can repeat the same argument. I spoke with Destiny for 2 hours about this, and he was unwilling to hit this exact point with me. First of all, I was willing to hit anything, but this is not going away, and we need to build a coalition with the 95% of Dem socialist Bernie supporters who vote Dem no matter what. Breaking Point Secular Talk are not disappearing. They don't want to build a coalition with you, though. The 90% of voters or whatever, fine. But if you want to get those voters, you have to fight with the content creators. You have to fight with the media people that are capturing them.
Sign up via getkickoff.com/surrounded to activate offer. Offer applies to new Kickoff customers first month only.
Why? Why do they up his...
Average first-year credit score impacted plus 86 points between August 2024 and August 2025 for Kickoff credit account users who started with a score below 600, who paid on time, and who had no delinquencies or collections added to their credit profile during the period. Late payments may negatively impact your credit score. Individual results may vary.
Thank you to Kickoff for sponsoring this episode. Now let's get back to
Kickoff.
the show.
My next surrounded claim is that police officers do more good in the black community than harm.
Oh, boy.
All right, if you would like to be the next debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
I want to hear why you think that police do more good in the black communities than harm.
Well, when you look at the functionality of law enforcement, meaning that the people who perpetuate crime in the black community are arrested by law enforcement officers, removing them from the community, removing the predators, the drug dealers, and all of that from the community, which is a good thing. And I cannot name other things that are harmful that outweigh all of the good that the police officers do.
How did the police first come about?
Oh, no.
You be more
Slave
detailed
patrol.
than that.
The
That's
never
not
mind.
true.
Yeah,
My
it's
bad.
literally
That's
true.
two different.
Fuck. I'm so lefty mind fucked. My bad. I thought he was going to say to protect capital. Fuck me.
Functionality.
Fact
Check it.
It's
There's
the
two different
origins.
functionalities.
The origins
You're talking
of
about
policing,
slave patrols
the
and
origin
modern day
of
policing is completely different.
The origins of policing
That's not true.
within the United States.
There must have been cops or something, though. What about like the sheriffs and the whatever people? I don't know.
America
It's not true.
derived from the slave patrol.
That's
They
not true.
still use the same badges.
That's not true.
The same,
That's
the
not true.
stars on the.
That's not true.
Fine. That's
the
fine.
functionality of slave patrols and the jurisdiction
I'm
that
not
slave
talking about the
patrols had
functionality. I'm
versus the
talking about-
functionality.
Oh, true. The lefty would say, well, what is a slave beyond human capital? Oh.
And jurisdiction of law enforcement
derived
is
from
completely
the
different.
entire premise
That's
of
not true.
slave patrol. That's fine. That's fine.
That's not
Listen,
true.
okay, cool. So, you don't think there's an issue with policing in the black community?
No.
You don't think there's an issue with stop and frisk?
No.
You don't think that there's an issue with like flock cameras and geo-tracking?
No.
Got it. Okay,
I think
cool.
that helps eliminate crime.
Sure. Have you ever heard of the Veil of Darkness study?
No, I have not.
Okay. The Veil of Darkness study was.
We read this one, Nature. This is a clever, cute paper. One of the reasons why I suggest reading the actual scientific papers rather than just like trying to get like an abstract or whatever is because one, you're much more capable of reading scientific research than you think you are. I promise. Like unless it's like a paper combating autoimmune diseases, exploring the specific pathway or whatever. Like most large papers, from the limited amount of scientific research that I've done, most large papers are written so that I think most people, if you're willing to read a little bit, can understand what's being said. Number one, and number two, in my opinion, some of the coolest things that can be found in research papers don't have anything to do with the results or anything to do with what they're studying, kind of. It has to do with like very clever methodological things that they use in order to tease out the conclusions in the papers. This study is one of them.
Study that was completed where 95 million traffic stops were actually checked across the United States of America. Vast pool, right? The methodology accounted for the time of day, for traffic, location, different shifts. Would you like to know what they found in that study when it came to policing and black people?
That black people commit more traffic violations than other people.
No.
That is true.
Black people were stopped for more
Why?
traffic violations. Hold on, I got you.
Because they commit more traffic violations.
You don't know the study. How are you going to answer?
I know what other studies and statistical data points show.
Okay, then give me another study that actually. Oh, sure.
You
Let me
think
finish.
they just
Let me
pulling
finish.
black people over just because they see a black person driving down the street?
Literally,
That's
the
not
Veil
true.
of Darkness
You
study.
have no evidence.
The Veil
for that.
of Darkness
None.
study that was done by Stanford and backed up by the CDC actually showed that what happens is during the day, police officers use racial bias because they
That's
can
not true.
see people
That's not true.
and they pull people.
I'm
going to finish
never
my sentence.
made a traffic stop in your
I'm literally
life.
going to finish. I'm literally going to
I'm gonna let you
finish.
finish.
They pull black people over during the day at a disproportionate rate
finish,
than
but-
white people, but at nighttime, when you can't see and it's harder to tell someone's actual race, then the average drops and it equals out.
Okay, let
they
me tell you
actually
why.
found that in the study, 95 million traffic violations, that when you can't see someone's race, you focus on the traffic violations versus the day
tell you why
you focus on the
Let me
people.
tell you why your study is flawed. For one reason, I was a police officer many years. I do traffic stops during the day, and you cannot always tell the race of a person during the day, no matter
What'd you say?
Anecdote.
Oh.
what. Secondary.
I agree.
They're secondary. When you are patrolling, majority of the black people that you engage with live in what? Black communities.
Over policing.
So you're going to make excuse. We can get to that.
I'm not making an excuse.
You're making
I'm
an
just
excuse.
telling you.
When you're in a black community, you only have options to pull over
Give me
black people.
any type
Now,
of
let me
empirics
finish.
that disagrees with the Veil of Darkness study.
Let me finish.
Oh no, fuck! It sounds like he didn't. I don't know. This guy read the study. It sounds like he just took the top line, the abstract or whatever. The cool thing about this Veil of Darkness study that he's referencing is Officer Tatum's not even giving the good, like, the brain dead counters. Is usually the counters like, well, black people, what happened was at nighttime, you had more, like, a closer representation of people being pulled over, matching the ethnic population that you were policing. But in the daytime, you were more likely per capita to pull over a black person than a white person. And so the hypothesis was, we think that people are being pulled over, traffic stopped more due to their race. And what we're going to do is we're going to look and see if at nighttime the differences start to disappear. Now, the really cute, cool, clever thing about this study is that this is why it's called the Veil of Darkness study. But the clever thing was, people surmise, well, maybe, or people hypothesize, maybe a confounding thing here could be that white people tend to work more overnight jobs or something. So at night you would pull over more white people, and that's why it seems to be more balanced or whatever than, right? Because different people work at different times of the day. But in this paper, I think this was published in Nature. In this paper, what they did was they did this analysis, and they went to where there were daylight savings time changes. And when the daylight savings time change were to go into effect, then the pullover rates would dramatically switch, like, right after, and you could track it that way. So even though this wouldn't theoretically impact when people are going to work or not, it does impact the amount of light available in the day, which furthered to go to the hypothesis in the paper that there was an impact on people being pulled over due to racial profiling, which is a really cute and clever test to figure out how to do that. There was another one, I wish I could remember the test methodologically for the abortion study. It's called the Turnaway study, and it had to do with turnaway, with people getting turned away from abortion clinics or something. But they were trying to figure out something like abortion impacts on women in the future. And in order for, it's difficult to study because if a woman gets an abortion or doesn't, then obviously there's going to be a ton of different things in her life that could, determine her outcomes in the future. Like a woman who doesn't seek an abortion might be one who has more financial resources available. There's a whole bunch of stuff you have to control for to try to figure it out. And they had this really clever or cute study. It's like a landmark big one called I think it's called the turnaround study or turnaway study. And it was like they took every woman that came into an abortion clinic for the initial appointment, but then some got turned away for some reason, and then they followed like the outcomes of these people because that would have been the most closely matched demographic without as many confounds. It would be different. But I'm just, for a lot of the research stuff, the methodology part of the paper can sometimes be the most interesting part, I think. It's cute.
You can read.
So can your mom.
I believe that there's clearly a flaw in what you're saying this study represents.
Sure.
Because
How can
in
you
the
critique
black
the methodology
community,
if you haven't looked at it?
in the black community, I have plenty of other.
You got trust me, bros.
Oh.
I did it for a living.
Yeah, that's a cool
And
story,
you did not.
bro.
So
I've looked at the information.
I'm telling you
Do
why the
think
study. I'm telling you why the
do
study
you
is
think
wrong.
your one-off experience is indicative of all policing around the country?
I'm telling you why your study is off. When you're looking at patrolling in black neighborhoods, you cannot. How are you going to make a fair comparison of how many white people pulled over versus black people when there's only black people present in the black neighborhood?
Do you mean cute like it's sneaky deceptive, or that it's genuinely clever for a good? No, it's a clever way to do something. Also, I might be conspiracy theory posting here, but like, sometimes people say, Republicans used to make this claim that some people would do bad polling or bad poll analysis in order to discourage people from going to vote. I saw this start to get passed around a ton yesterday and maybe the day before on social media. Haley Stevens got a call from her pollster and said that she was down by 14 points and there was absolutely no path to victory. I chased this around a little bit on social media, Google. I couldn't find any source for this claim aside from a bunch of lefty accounts that were just tweeting this out. Is there any?
People are just lying now.
Yeah, is there any reporting on this whatsoever?
I haven't seen this at all.
And please don't link me. I asked this last night. A bunch of you fucking retards linked like a plus 16 poll like 2 weeks ago or something that's not this. The guy said it was wrong. The pollster himself said it was bullshit. Oh, okay. That's probably what this was then, because every lefty was repeating this yesterday. Cute. Nice. Good one. Fucking losers.
The veil of darkness cannot get in the minds of a police officer and determine whether or not the police officer pulled a person over because of their color or the violation.
It literally.
Louder for those in the back. I'm her pollster. This is nonsense and didn't happen. Allegedly, I'm also playing linebacker for my Seahawks this year.
If you look at the data set,
get in the mind and prove that a cop was looking at a black man in a racial
darkness study.
Oh, true.
It shows not only the reason why they were pulled over,
How
but
do-
it
how
shows
do
the
you know
ones
the
that were
reason why
thrown
they- how
out.
do you know the
They
reason
were
why they pulled over?
disproportionately pulled over.
Disproportionality
and disproportionately
does not
pulled
speak
over,
to whether or
and
not
there
it's
This
was
is like another TSA lie. They're trying to spread like the Muscovitz debate dodge. True. The misinfo doesn't scare me too much, but the coordination is terrifying. Yep. And if you're seeing it on the lefty tanky side, which they have been doing this for several months now, it should terrify you even more. Well, I mean, I guess it has been. Is that the MAGA people have been doing this for decades, really. Conservatives have been very good at this for a long time.
portion of black violations that were thrown out.
It doesn't matter.
Why?
Disproportionality
Why
does
is
not.
it so many black people pulled over and
because
then
they
so
are
many of the
pulling-
violations were thrown out?
How do you fix this problem with people lying? I don't know, bro.
Look at it like this. If you're looking at
It has to be
traffic stops
legislated.
across the country, different
There's so many
jurisdictions
fucking
have
old
different
fucks who don't
mandates
know what's
and
going
they have
on.
different standards for what they throw out as traffic violations. So you cannot make a generalization
You
across
know
the
what's
entire
consistent?
country.
Yes, you can. You know what's
No, you
consistent
cannot.
across the entire country?
No,
White
it's not.
supremacy.
That's
White
How
supremacy
is white
is
supremacy
consistent
have anything to do
across
with a traffic stop?
It's literally racism. They're literally trained.
You're projecting
to
your
actually
bias.
go through.
Tell
What
me how they're
bias?
trained. Have you been through police training?
No, I have not.
I went through police training.
Sure, cool story.
And they do not teach discrimination
Why is it that
in police
why
training.
is it that police officers spend more time in black neighborhoods?
They're committing more
disproportionately?
crimes.
They're not.
Yes, they are.
Who commits the most violent crimes in America today?
Per capita, black
Not
people
per
do.
capita, period.
Black people do.
No, white people.
No, it's-
white
it's
men,
not- that's-
specifically.
that's a lie.
FBI
Fact check
data.
it.
Fact check it. FBI data shows
over
that white
50%
men specifically commit the most violent crime in the
That's not
United
true.
States of America. If you're talking
It really doesn't matter. I mean, like, you're going to police where more crime is. I generally don't like a lot of anti-policing arguments, especially because in communities, there's also going to be a huge difference here when you're talking about young people versus old people that are talking about this too. But like, this is a point that I was hoping all the lefties lost a long time ago, or progressives really. It's kind of more of a wokey-talkie point. But like, we have to have safe neighborhoods. Like, that's just a non-negotiable. The best people in society, not to be mean to young people, but like the people starting families or working stable jobs, really, really, really don't like crime. Really, really, really don't like crime. It is so corrosive and not good. And I agree that sometimes cops can do bad things, and we need to find better ways to combat crime at its roots. So taking care of children in single-parent households, or preventing them altogether, or whatever, better funding for schools or after-school programs or whatever the fuck it is. But it cannot be, by the time you get to the policing thing, the police aren't going to solve systemic issues related to crime, and we shouldn't look to them to do it. But
about property crimes,
No, I'm not
yes,
talking
it's
about
black
property
people.
crime. I'm talking about violent crimes.
Violent crimes, it's
Violent
white men,
crime.
including CSAM. White men, if you could talk per capita with CSAM,
Come
you
on,
can
they
talk
gonna fact
you can
check
talk
you.
numbers. White men disproportionately represent
Murder rate-
CSAM and violent crime.
Murder rate and violent crimes disproportionately
Do you
represented
believe in
in the black
1350?
community.
All right,
What's
we're going to have to
1350?
pause here, so I'm glad you guys.
It's the old one that all the far right people used to scream all the time, especially the neo-Nazis, but it's 13% of people commit 50% of the violent crime.
Not people, black people, right?
Mm-hmm. Wait, what?
Are you saying 13% of people?
13% of black,
Or
13% of the population, which is black
got it.
men or whatever, commit 50% of the crime. Wait, are black people 13% or 26%? I don't know if they cut the 26% in half and then do like just black men, or wait, are there pedophiles that aren't? Why does it
yes,
like all
that
the
must exist.
Well, look at the way you even had to say it. Why does it feel like every fucking pedophile is a white guy? The fuck? I don't know how I feel about that one. I feel like there's a little bit of bias there in the reporting.
Took a pause. You have been voted out. Thank you so much.
Give me 10 minutes.
She's making up stats.
If you would like to be the next debater, get to that chair in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, Michael Jackson, true.
Well,
goat.
when did he become a pedophile?
That's a good question.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. What happened? When do we know he was a pedophile, Mooten?
We don't know if he ever was.
No. When he was a pedophile, what was he?
We don't know if he's ever been a pedophile.
Yeah, but when he was accused of being a pedophile, he was white.
He was white. Yeah. You're
Just
bringing up
saying.
some good points, man.
Just saying.
All right.
You just ask some questions.
Everything I heard, everything I've listened to thus far.
Uh-oh. Bullshit.
Think you full of shit.
Oh.
You're a police officer.
No, give me an example of what I
Hello.
said that wasn't true.
Let me get to it.
Give me something I
I
said
don't
that
think
wasn't true.
anybody here would disagree that good policing is bad. We're talking about bad policing. We're talking about bullshit policing. We're talking about the kind of policing that puts gentlemen like you and me in prison for unjust crimes. You like to cite that you're a police officer. Let me cite my professional background. Let me cite my professional background.
I have been in that profession.
10 years writing policy in government.
You weren't a police officer.
At the local and
But you weren't a
state of
police
California levels. And
You never arrested
weren't-
anybody.
You didn't write policy. I did.
Did they get a fucking cop for this?
Did they what?
Did they get a cop up for this? Because I'm tired of hearing this guy say, well, you weren't a cop.
Oh. Well, I mean, what's a cop going to come up and say? I was a cop and I was racist. You're wrong.
Yes.
Okay, I write the law.
But you don't enforce the law.
You don't enforce the law.
I
You don't
enforce the
enforce the
law.
law appropriately.
You just made it
You
up.
like to use one-offs. Let me use a one-off.
You don't need to use one-offs. You just make
In the
it up.
city of San Diego, there was a black police officer that sued the San Diego Police Department
Anecdotal.
with regard to, I mean, bro, all day you've been coming up with me. Now
I got
it's
statistical data
anecdotal.
points. Where do you want to go?
Like, I need you to keep that safe.
That's scary. Not just normal data points, statistical data points.
People
Bro,
commit
I need you to
over
keep the
half of
same
all violent
energy.
crimes.
And that's the problem with black conservatives like yourself. You don't know how to keep
You're
the same
just
energy.
talking emotionally.
It was
Give me some
me.
facts.
Well, I'm trying to give you facts.
come on with it.
You're supposed to be a
What is
police
this guy-
officer. Hold your head, bro. Hold your head. You interrupted everybody, bro. I got
You're
what,
here to
2-3
debate me.
minutes.
I'm not here to listen to you
So,
talk in circles.
But you talking like you was a state trooper, you was a Secret
But I know
Service.
cops.
and them.
I know cops all across the country.
But I did too.
I know
do
policy.
too.
I know all
I do
that.
too.
All right, get to your point.
You don't know policy because you never written one. He
We're
said,
talking
nah.
about policing in the black community. We're not talking about
I want to
policy
hold
writing.
you to account because police officers like you don't like accountability. So I want to hold you to account. I'm trying to get my story out, and if I can finish my story.
This is not story time, man. The point is, police do
He
more
could have been
good.
done by now.
The point was,
Police do more
the point
good
was, with
in the
regard
black
to
community.
training, the San Diego Police Department showed a video training officers of that department depicting black people as primary perpetrators of crime. That's not true. My last guy that was just up here, who commits the most crimes in America?
Black
It's
people
white
do.
people. Name me the last black mass murderer in America.
I mean,
That
it
shot
happened-
up schools.
It happened in
malls.
the hood every day.
No, I didn't ask about the hood. Mass
That's
murdering.
mass shooting, bro. Go to Chicago on the 4th
What's the
of July.
definition of a mass
it's a
shooter?
mass shooting.
What's the definition
Two
of a
more
mass
people
shooter?
shot. It's a mass shooting.
How many cases do DAs drop because of cops fucking up? My guess is a small minority of them. It's probably most of it is probably pretty standard stuff. Would be my guess.
According to the FBI, I could tell you to go to any inner city in the United States.
This is hilarious, him using this talking point. I don't like this talking point from liberals because liberals will usually argue that there's like, we have like fucking 400 mass shootings a year in the United States. But the way they get to that 400 a year mass shooting number is they consider, like, I think in the FBI database, or I think it's the FBI that keeps track of it, they consider
It's 3
any,
or more, I think.
Yeah, it's like any shooting with, I think it's 4 or more victims, including the shooter, or maybe not including the shooter, but it's like any gang shooting can encompass 4 people, not 4 deaths either. It's just, I think, 4 people getting shot. And then if you track it that way, like you can get to so many different shooting victims a year in the United States. But it's not really what we think of. Not shooting victims, sorry, mass shootings. It's not really what we think of when we think of like mass shootings, though.
So you think of a school that got 50 kids fucking murdered.
Yeah, sure, or like Vegas or whatever.
50
yeah.
times, but yeah.
And go just this past weekend, and you've seen multiple mass shootings that occurred in that community. I don't know them by name.
I can
but
cite you Columbine. I can cite you
you're
Sandy
talking about
Hook.
you're talking about a shooting isolated at a school. We're talking about violence. We're talking about murder rates. Black people commit over half of all murders in this country. Is that true or not?
That's not true.
That is
That's
true. What are you saying?
categorically-
All right, we do have to pause here.
Black people commit disproportionate amounts and over half of all violent crimes in this country.
Okay, Officer Tatum, both of you guys, we have to stop here because you have been voted out. Thank you so much for your time. If you would like to be the next debater, get to that hot seat in 3, 2, 1.
All right, what's up, bro?
I would argue that the resources, that the cost of hiring a police officer could be significantly better used in revitalizing the black community rather than affording more cops. As you've seen in the city of New York, when they increased the
Spider-Man Brand New Day and The Odyssey, both power biggest collective weekend in box office history. God damn. Fuck, I haven't seen The Odyssey. Is it good? People are saying it was good.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going on the 21st
Yeah,
and
I'm
22nd.
Wait.
Have you seen Spider-Man?
No, not the new one. No.
I gotta see that too.
Wait, is Peach coming with you to Miami?
There's no plan right now. Do you want her to?
That's we're talking about it like a possession. But well, because there's the IMAX down here. We could just see the.
Do you have an IMAX?
Don't we? Didn't you literally mention this, or was it Dan? There's like one in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, it's in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Are there tickets?
Well, I don't fucking know. Damn, dude. Now you're asking me.
All right, I'll look.
Amount of funding they're putting in schools, when they increase having childcare for people, when they increased training for people to get jobs, they saw the lowest crime rate that they've seen in years.
Right. This is where I think we can agree on. We got to walk and chew gum at the same time. As we see resources provided and crime go down, then we can begin to shrink the availability of law enforcement in that said community. You don't do one before the other. You can't just say, I'm going to take resources from the law enforcement officers. Crime will go out of control. If I was to concede to your point, we need to see these crime statistics begin to decrease. Therefore, you can justify decreasing law enforcement.
I can't even say it because I'll type in a chat.
What?
I can't. I don't want to say it on stream.
Bruh, in this case, scalpers would be base. They'd let us go see the movie. What do you mean?
They would, but they shouldn't exist.
No, that means that
you should just be able to go see the movie.
But that means that we could. But this is called price discrimination and action, Mooten. If the tickets were just openly,
but I don't want that.
No. If that
I would rather the company go and make their ticket.
Yeah, but the companies won't do that. But right now, it could be because they get bad PR because people cry about it. But it might be that we could only see the movie because scalpers have provided an essential market service, okay, where they have allowed somebody that's willing to pay a premium the ability to buy the ticket at a higher cost. So thank God for scalpers. They're performing an essential capitalist function.
Cannot think that because you build a park that somebody ain't going to be shooting and acting a fool in the hood.
I just love capitalism and markets.
That is a generational thing that's going to have to happen. And right now, we still got people out today.
Where's my libertarian copy pasta? Did you ever read this?
No.
Or you must have been listening when Dan was reading it. The Libertarian Investigator copy?
In North Korea, children who did...
You've never seen this one before? Oh my God.
No.
Somebody link me.
Don't give a F about a park. We've seen plenty of cases that
just see it in non-70 millimeter IMAX. It's fine. No. The heads are all chopped off. It's terrible.
People have built.
That's a joke. That's not true. No, that's not true. That would be hilarious. Though.
It's not true, but it would be so funny.
I was shooting heroin and reading The Fountainhead in the front seat of my privately owned police cruiser when a call came in. I put a quarter in the radio to activate it. It was the chief. Bad news, detective. We got a situation. What? Is the mayor trying to ban trans fats again? Worse, somebody just stole $447 million worth of bitcoins. The heroin needle practically fell out of my arm. What kind of a monster would do something like that? Bitcoins are the ultimate currency. Virtual, anonymous, stateless. They represent true economic freedom, not subject to arbitrary manipulation by any government. Do we have any leads? Not yet, but mark my words. We're going to figure out who did this, and we're going to take them down, provided somebody pays us a fair market rate to do so. Easy, Chief, I said. Any rate the market offers is, by definition, fair. He laughed. That's why you're the best I got, Lazowski. Now you get out there and find those bitcoins. Don't worry, I said. I'm on it. I put a quarter in the siren. 10 minutes later, I was on the scene. It was a normal office building, strangled on all sides by public sidewalks. I hopped over them and I went inside. Home Depot presents the police, I said, flashing my badge and my gun and a small picture of Ron Paul. Nobody move unless you want to. They didn't. Now, which one of you punks is going to pay me to investigate this crime? No one spoke up. Come on, I said. Don't you all understand that the protection of private property is the foundation of all personal liberty? Didn't seem like they did. Seriously, guys, without a strong economic motivator, I'm just going to stand here and not solve this case. Cash is fine, but I prefer being paid in gold bullion or autographed Penn Jillette posters. Nothing. These people were stonewalling me. It almost seemed like they didn't care that a fortune in computer money invented by drugs was missing. I figured I could wait them out. I lit several cigarettes indoors. A pregnant lady coughed, and I told her that secondhand smoke is a myth. Just then, a man in glasses made a break for it. Subway, eat fresh and freeze, scumbag, I yelled. Too late. He was already out the front door. I went after him. Stop right there, I yelled as I ran. He was faster than me because I always try to avoid stepping on public sidewalks. Our country needs a private sidewalk voucher system, but Thanks to the incestuous interplay between our corrupt federal government and the public sidewalk lobby, it'll never happen. I was losing him. Listen, I'll pay you to stop, I yelled. What would you consider an appropriate price point for stopping? I'll offer you 1/13 of an ounce of gold and a gently worn Bob Barr 2008 extra long or extra large long-sleeved men's t-shirt. He turned. In his hand was a revolver that the Constitution said he had every right to own. He fired at me and missed. I pulled my own gun, put a quarter in it, and fired back. The bullet lodged in a USPS mailbox less than a foot from his head. I shot the mailbox again, on purpose. All right, the man yelled, throwing down his weapon. I give up, cop. I confess. I took the bitcoins. Why'd you do it? I asked, as I slapped a pair of Oki's Greek yogurt presents handcuffs on the guy. Because I was afraid. Afraid? Afraid of an economic future, free from the pernicious meddling of central bankers, he said. I'm a central banker. I wanted to cold cock the guy. Years ago, a central banker killed my partner. Instead, I shook my head. Let this be a message to all your central banker friends out on the street, I said. No matter how many bitcoins you steal, you'll never take away the dream of an open society based on the principles of personal and economic freedom. He nodded because he knew I was right, and then he swiped his credit card to pay me for arresting him. Have you never heard of the Libertarian copy pasta?
Incredible schools, they built parks, roadways, availability to activities for people, and they still out here cutting up. And a lot of it is the way people are raised, the culture that people are embracing, and I would argue that black people are embracing that wasn't even black culture to start with. Those things need to be addressed, and they are the most detrimental to the black community than even funding and defunding police.
And I hear you, but I still agree that...
All right, we're going to have to pause here. I'm so sorry. You have been voted out by the majority. If you would like to be the next debater, please get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Bing.
What's up, bro?
I just want to take a second to acknowledge that you're being roasted and you're being very polite about it. So thank you for that.
I'm doing what?
I say you're getting roasted right now, but you're being very polite about it, and I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you for your conceding to my arguments. Okay.
I wouldn't say that, but okay. So you're familiar with broken.
Wait, I don't think this guy was trying to be mean, but I think he interpreted that as being mean. He was like everybody's like trying to roast you, and you're being polite. So thanks. And I think all he heard was, you're getting fucking roasted up here, you little submissive beta boy. I think he misunderstood, yeah.
Window policing, right?
I'm familiar in part.
Yeah, just for people that don't know, it's just the uniform enforcement of both significant...
Hot take, broken windows policing is good, and it probably did work, and people come down way too harshly on this.
What was broken windows policing again?
Basically, the meta concept is that if you're walking through a neighborhood and like the windows are broken and there's like trash everywhere and everything is just kind of like run down and dumpy, that in those environments, people are more likely to commit crime because it doesn't seem like there's
So you
any
need more cops there.
Yeah. So the idea is you kind of crack down a little bit harder on minor crimes like that. And
why'd they move away from it? Racist?
Disparate outcome. It was impacting black people more in certain areas, and then some people said it led to over-policing in certain areas. But
how did black people feel about it in those areas?
Well, if you're getting pulled over a lot, probably not good. Destiny, he meant it as a sneak diss. Wait, do you think he meant it as a sneak diss, or?
Let me hear it again.
I just feel like the guy's demeanor and everything, it seemed like he was legitimately trying to be a nice guy. Let me check. Hold on, let's try.
What's up, bro?
I just want to take a second to acknowledge that you're being roasted and you're being very polite about it. So thank you for that.
I'm doing what?
I say you're getting roasted right now, but you're being very polite about it, and I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you for your...
I don't, and I appreciate that.
Go either way. I don't know.
I don't think he's trying to roast him. I think he's trying to disarm him. I don't think he's trying to roast him.
Yeah, I wouldn't say roast.
Conceding to my arguments. Okay.
I wouldn't say that, but okay. So
see, like he doesn't even. He's not engaging appropriately.
He could go further there. Yeah.
Or well, he's just like
if he was going to roast.
Yeah, and I don't think he understands his response to that. Thank you for conceding my argument. It's like, well, I don't know if I would say that, but I don't think he understands why he said it because the other guy's getting defensive. I think. I think.
You're familiar with broken window policing, right?
I'm familiar in part.
Yeah, just for people that don't know, it's just the uniform enforcement of both significant and insignificant laws, right? And I think we could both agree that there are laws in this country that shouldn't exist, right? Or just
give me an example, because I can't concede to it if I don't know what you're talking about.
Marijuana, right? Like in the state of Texas, if you're caught with marijuana, you can be a felon.
Would you ever do legal action against people like Professor Dave for saying you're getting sued for sending nudes of a minor? I know the court case isn't over yet, but the claim is just not debatable anyway. It's just slander, pedo jacketing. I'm not, first of all, okay, it's the same thing I said for the associate. One, I don't have the money to launch 50 million fucking court cases. Okay, I don't know if you guys think I'm decently wealthy enough that I can retire and be cool, but I don't have the money to be fucking filing 750 lawsuits against every single person that calls me pedophile on the internet. Okay, number one. Number two, I would never do active litigation relating to that at the very same time that I'm in litigation with somebody like Pixie. It could be that I sue 5 people for calling me a pedophile, and then Pixie, to fucking meme on me, decides to just put in a filing the next time, motion for submitting this, and here's an affidavit where somebody claims that he is a pedophile. And now all of my other 5 cases are dead because they're like, oh, well, look, this was submitted in this court case, and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. So the idea of having simultaneous court cases when one involves the other or one involves claims to the others is beyond fucking retarded. This is never happening, okay? I have to wait for this court case to end for anything like that to ever happen, okay? Jesus.
Right? I think we can both agree that that's dumb.
I don't agree to that. I mean, people vote on it and they'll pass what the majority believe. I don't agree to that.
Sure.
I think in some cases marijuana should be illegal. I think medical marijuana should be legal. I mean, obviously.
Well, yeah, sure, but based all marijuana. But I think we can both agree that if you have like a felony conviction, that stunts your ability to earn and provide for your family, right?
Yeah, you knew that before you committed the felony, right?
Yeah, but like I think certain laws.
I got a hot take. I don't think you should be able to smoke fucking weed on the street or even cigarettes. It's fucking annoying. I don't like smelling it. I don't care if you smoke weed at your house though. Doesn't matter to me.
Old man.
You're talking felonies. You're not talking misdemeanor. Felonies are very intense things that you do that cause you to get a felony. It's not just having weed on you.
Not exactly. Because if you're caught with a wax pen, right, that can be considered a felony equivalent to if you had like cocaine or something like that.
Depending on what state you're in.
Yeah,
But
depending on the state.
If that's the case, but
right.
you know
but
that before you
as well.
You know that before you do it.
Sure.
And so you make the decision. You make the decision. Everybody in here make decisions. They're not going to do that because you don't want a felony on your record because you want to be successful and be able to get a job. Is that fair?
But
that's personal responsibility.
But let's interrogate the central claim. You're saying that police in black communities do more good than harm, right?
Exactly.
So if you're caught smoking a blunt on your porch and you become a felon for the rest of your life, and then you're relegated to like being like doing menial labor for the rest of your life, right? When you could have had a lot more prospect, isn't that the police causing more harm to your life?
No, it's just don't smoke weed and you won't have to worry about the police.
So are the laws enforced equally across the races?
It is.
No, they're not.
What's your
They're
proof?
not.
What's your
They're
proof
not.
to that?
So black people in this country, right, are statistically found to have been given larger sentences for the same crimes compared to their white counterparts.
See, let me give you some more information to give you a better perspective. A lot of it is because people have committed multiple crimes before they get to the final crime sentencing. Yes, yes, it is.
Even for first-time offenders.
Give me an example. Where do you see, now here's what, and everybody should acknowledge this, where do you see in this country a judge?
Bernie's on record saying he's not a Democrat. Are we good to consider him and everybody aligned with him hostile to the party? Well, Bernie is technically even worse than not a Democrat because Bernie caucuses with us. So he'll run in our primaries to win the primary, and then he runs in the general as an independent. So it's even...
Yeah, that seems really retarded.
Well, this is America. What do you want me to say?
This judge gave a white person a different sentence than a black person in that same courtroom.
Statistically, you can still see that minority offenders are given harsher sentences for the same crimes compared to the white counterparts.
And a lot of times it's because they already have previous charges. I'll give you an example of people that's in my family. Sure. You know, 2 people that I know, I'm not going to say what position they're in my family, got 20 years in prison for armed robbery. 25 years in prison for armed robbery. The reason he got 25 years is because he had already committed a robbery. He got 5 years before that. Another one of my cousins got 75 years in prison for shooting 3 people. The reason he got 75 years, and some people didn't get that because he was a prohibited possessor, he was already a convicted felon for that. Another one of my cousins got 75 years in prison for shooting 3 people. The reason he got 75 years, and some people didn't get that, because he had already been a prohibited possessor, he was already a convicted felon, and he had drugs in the car. Those contributing factors is what lead many black people who already have a criminal record to being sentenced at a higher rate. You cannot find a judge that gave a black person a higher sentencing than they gave a white person. If you find that judge, I think everybody in here will be against that judge. And I would march and protest a judge that we can find doing that. You won't find it.
All right, we're gonna have to pause here because you've been voted out by the majority.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you would like to be the next debater, please get to the chair. In 3, 2, 1.
What's up?
What's up, bro?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good.
Let's have some fun. I want to approach this from a place of curiosity because The thing that troubles me about a lot of the way you structure your arguments is that it seems to suggest to me that you perhaps believe that there's some moral deficit that black people have that inclines us to commit more crimes.
I don't believe that.
I guess my question is, what do you think that moral lack is?
I don't really think I don't think it's a sweeping generalization that every black person somehow is born inherently evil or inherently a criminal. I think that there's different things that do cause people to fall down a path of committing crimes, which is what their fathers did and what their mothers did.
One might say context and systemic racism. Or
I don't think it has. I think it had much to do with racism.
No.
I don't think it has. Like for instance, we can isolate criminal activity that happened in the black community that has no hand or involvement from white people.
Yeah.
You know, a young man deciding to grab a gun and do a shooting has nothing to do with white people. A young man having sex with 5 and 6 women, getting them pregnant, and not standing up for his responsibilities has nothing to do with white people.
See, but when you tell stories like that, it seems to suggest that you're saying that black people are responsible for all of that versus these isolated incidents, these mythical isolated incidents that you're bringing up.
I'm saying it's personal responsibility.
Yeah, so you're saying
there's no white man there.
There's an epidemic of personal responsibility inside the black community.
I agree with
How
that.
do you measure that?
By looking at the effects of it, looking at what
The difficult thing for conservatives and liberals to ever have this conversation, this is kind of frustrating, is that like the answer to that question is yes. But like the reason why is because of a whole host of issues that we should be able to address, socially, culturally, educationally, economically, whatever. But you kind of have to own the argument that like black people, do perform worse in this country. But then you have to get into the reasons why. This idea of like sometimes people on the other side of this issue try to just say that that's not happening, or they try to pretend that's not true, and it's like, this is way too much of a, like, I mean, we can just look outside. Like, you're never winning this argument. This is not, it doesn't come off as remotely honest either, I don't know. It's not, I don't think it's very compelling.
the black people are doing over time.
So earlier, people have come up and given you a vast number of statistics that indicate systemic racism, inequality, poverty, education. It's happened over and over again, yet you claim black people have an epidemic of personal responsibility, but you can't give a single statistic that indicates that. How do you measure that?
They have an epidemic of personal responsibility. You see the outcomes.
Is it the rap music?
That's one indicator.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rap music. Let the bodies hit the floor. Who wrote that song?
Let me give you an example of why this is different. Let me give you an example of why this is different.
Come on. Let's talk about rap.
And I'm gonna tell you how it has a negative effect on black people.
Yeah.
White people actually listen to rap music way more than black people do. They purchase it more.
Mm-hmm.
But black people are living the stuff that's in the music.
Mm-hmm.
White people fantasize of what it may be like to run up on your op and shoot somebody and kill them and go to prison.
Bars. Come on.
And selling dope in the hood to your own.
People who operate on personal responsibility never continue the conversation after you can see that, though. I mean, I don't disagree. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's an issue with conservatives and liberals. The way that they both frame it is too hard on just talking about their particular thing. Like, conservatives really want to focus on the behavior and deny that the environmental conditions might play like a huge factor here. But then the people on the other side of the debate like to acknowledge that there is a huge environmental factor that is causing these outcomes, but then they like to pretend that the outcomes don't exist or aren't real, in which case I guess we don't have to do anything then. Everything should be fine.
People.
Yeah.
Black people are living it. It's a reality, and it's reinforced. You cannot tell me that that's not a form of brainwashing.
I've listened to a lot of rap music. You know what I've never done? Shot up a school.
What does a school guy do anything?
I think you try to create this image.
No,
this is what I mean by you seem to suggest that there's
no negative. No, you're saying that there's no negative.
There's some kind of lack that causes us to be more prone to violence, but you don't acknowledge any of the historical context that places us in the environments that we're in.
Are you saying that there's no negative effects of brainwashing yourself about killing your brother and sister and listening to that on a day-to-day basis? There's no negative effect in that.
Right. Why are you posing this as a uniquely black thing?
Because
this is like when you make the argument that like violence has been a part of art all the time. I write for a living. You know who glorifies violence? William Shakespeare. You know who glorifies violence? Quentin Tarantino. But you don't see anyone talking about, oh my God, this is responsible for all the white on white crime, even though there are more white criminals in America than any other race.
We're talking about black people.
Yeah.
Do you think that black hip-hop music, rap music is detrimental to the black community?
No.
You think it has no effect on the psyche of a young man listening to that every day?
No. It's that simple.
I disagree with you on that point. I think here lies the problem.
How would you validate that? How would you prove that?
Well,
what can be proved is the correlation between poverty and crime, and that can be traced systemically through history. And this goes back to all of the arguments we've made about wealth accumulation, how black people have been prevented from having that.
Now, how can you associate that to white supremacy?
How can I associate white supremacy and generational poverty? Do you think wealth is inherited?
In part.
Yes, so do you think poverty is inherited
Majority of people who are successful in this country do not get passed on generational wealth. A lot of people who are very successful came from nothing. I would argue that almost every black person who is successful came from nothing,
Yeah,
which is an
and I
example
think
of why
this is-
capitalism works.
Yeah, okay, so I went to one of the most conservative high schools in America. It is a very alluring and deceptive delusion to believe that because you live in circumstances that are different from the rest of black people, that somehow you are special.
What do you mean? You're saying that
I mean
if you
that,
work hard in this country,
this is the way earlier that you suggested,
work
like,
hard,
oh, here's
you
my
don't commit
example of
crimes.
someone who escaped poverty, and that means that everybody has access to that.
No, I'm not saying not every white person has access
So then you
to
acknowledge
it.
that there are forces that
I'm saying that
operate
there's-
against black people that are unique to black people. And where do those come from?
I think a lot of it comes from the actions of
The
black
epidemic
people.
of personal responsibility that you can't indicate how.
Are
that
you
exists.
telling me? So are you a successful man? Considering, like,
I'm doing my
generally
thing.
speaking?
I'm doing my
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Okay. Did you go to school?
I got incredibly
Are
lucky.
you educated?
I got incredibly
No.
lucky.
Are you educated?
Yeah.
Okay. What decisions did you have to make to get to the point that you're at?
Okay, we want to talk about education. We want to talk about the
What does
difference
that
in
mean
funding.
when somebody asks, "Are you educated?" Does it mean you passed high school?
Basically, yeah.
College? Okay.
Between schools in black neighborhoods and white neighborhoods.
No,
like if you're
funding. I went to probably one of the poor schools in my school district.
Yeah,
That didn't make the difference of whether or not I did my homework or not.
Yeah, this is the thing where I think you're convinced that you're special.
I don't think that inherently, because the color of my skin, that somehow I'm behind the curve against white people.
Yeah, Harriet Tubman.
One interesting argument, I just read a chat comment, it made me think of this argument. One interesting argument is he's saying that all the rap music in society is having a negative influence on black people because it makes them, I guess, want to be gangsters or whatever. Wouldn't all that same rap music then that's consumed by so many white people, wouldn't it have a negative influence on white people because he's saying like, well, it doesn't make white people go and shoot up schools or go and shoot up the block or whatever, but wouldn't it make them think that black people are more likely to do it? Why would it make black people do a crazy thing and not white people think that black people could do a crazy thing? No? I don't know. Just random.
And escape the plantation. A lot of people didn't. Is it the fault of all those black people that they couldn't?
Another issue that these conversations have a lot, I talk about this a lot, and that it's hard to, when you talk to people personally, like in my personal life, or if I'm giving personal advice to somebody, like this is always coming from the most libertarian perspective possible. Like you are the only person that will ever give a fuck about your life. Like you have to do whatever you can to make sure that, you know, your shit gets handled. Nobody else is going to look out for you. Like you just, that's it. But when you're talking from like a political debate perspective or whatever, you're talking like policy. And policy is going to be, what can the government do? What can we offer societally? Why did I bring this up? Oh, I guess I don't know what this what is his name? Tatum, the officer's dad, would think. But in terms of like rap music has like a bad impact on you, and you know you can't participate in like hood culture or whatever. The people that I knew growing up that were the biggest on that were the black fathers in my grandma's neighborhood. Whoo, dude! I remember when my friend's older brother got caught. I don't even know who I don't even know who the rapper was at the time because I was a fucking 8-year-old little white kid. I don't listen to any rap music. I'm pretty sure my parents would kill me or not. It's just you can't listen to music with cuss words. But I remember overhearing a fight when we were in his room playing whatever Mortal Kombat, where I think Shiva could go up and down. You would just push up and down or something. It was on the Super Nintendo, I think. But his brother got caught with a rap CD. Oh my god, dude, his dad was going crazy. But that household was
they hated that shit,
so strict. But when there's when you have like a whole black family, and then especially I think they're all religious. I don't know. Everyone I knew growing up was like they were all religious. Those households, man, they are run the most strict. Like your pants can't sag. You got to look presentable. You do your grooming. You have to like no fucking crazy media in the house. Like super strict. I wonder sometimes when those families produce, I don't know if that's where Tatum came from, if his parents were like that. And I mean, it is good in terms of instilling strong values and everything in your kid. But I wonder if those people are more likely to be churned out into the world as conservatives who think that you just need like the ultimate amount of responsibility for everything and then everything will be solved. I don't know. Just
escape.
I don't get your point there.
The point that I'm making is that people live in dire circumstances, and every once in a while, someone can break out. And that's not an indication of the system itself.
Black people
it's not
don't
corrupt.
live in a world where every now and again, the majority of black people live in the middle class.
Yes, but a lot more black people live in poverty than any other.
Is that true?
That the majority live in middle class?
Are the majority of white people live in the middle class?
I would assume not.
Maybe if you do black and you include all black immigrants, maybe, but
than any other.
Disproportionate, and a lot of those are because of decision making. When you have children,
Yes.
and you're not
and
married,
this is why I'm saying that I think you think that black people have some unique moral deficit.
we
because
are
you're saying that there's
falling-
an epidemic
I
of
think that-
personal responsibility
I
in
think
black
that-
people, but you can't prove that.
I
And yet we
think
can
that
prove that systemic
you
racism
cannot
exists,
prove
but you
that.
don't.
What you're doing is you're assessing or
When does systemic
associating
racism stop in America? When does systemic racism stop in America?
I don't think there was real
Right now.
systemic racism
Ever?
Damn.
Keep going. Please keep going.
All right,
I would love for you to go for the rest
I
of the
don't
time on
think,
that.
I do not believe
Yeah.
that there's been systemic racism in America that's been the primary reason why black people cannot succeed.
Right, but you can't prove that there's an epidemic of personal responsibility. But you can prove that there's an epidemic of systemic racism.
No, look.
And that's why I'm asking you, when did it stop? Because theoretically, that should be the moment when we're all equal.
Are you saying that black people are not responsible for the decisions that they make?
I'm saying everyone has agency. Everyone commits crime. Everyone does everything.
Exactly.
But people have had
So
lived in different circumstances.
therefore, if you do the right things like you did, you have an opportunity to be successful, which is equal to just about anybody else, no matter what color you are. You think white people are better than you?
No, but I worry you do.
Why do you think I do? I'm the one
this is
that's
why.
saying that black people have an opportunity to be successful in this
In
country.
2022, 46% of black people were middle class. I feel like, I wonder how much that's impacted by African immigrants. Just because I'm pretty sure black people that immigrate here are, well, almost anybody that immigrates here is likely to be pretty
Educated?
wealthy and wealthy. 'Cause, I mean, you're immigrating across the ocean.
Yeah.
I hate the black.
Careful.
Oh, I mean, wait, what? Sorry, I hate black. I hate just the descriptor black and not with the abandoning of African American just drives me crazy. Yeah.
Wait, you hate the descriptor of black, not
Because
you prefer
black,
African-American?
yeah, because black hand waves, it meshes together all of the the African immigrant people with people that are like the descendants of slaves in the United States, and you're missing like a huge lived experience there by just calling all of them black. I think
Makes sense. I didn't think black people liked the term African American.
I think, yeah, everybody
Ebbs and
just seemed,
flows?
I don't know. At some point, people thought that it meant that like you're from Africa, and then it just fell out of favor, and it's cringe. I don't know. Look at 0.6 on this. Hold on. In 2022, more than a third of immigrants lived in lower-income households, compared with 29% of the U.S.-born. Immigrants also trailed the U.S.-born in the shares. There are large gaps in the economic status of American residents by the region of birth among people born in Asia. By comparison, only 6% when the upper. How am I? This doesn't have my U.S.-born versus foreign-born for just black people, no? Foreign-born African immigrants. Not all black immigrants come from Africa, by the way. Yeah, that's true. But my guess is actually, I wonder if most of them actually come from Britain. That wouldn't surprise me, actually. Your bit on African American and black was really bad, in my opinion. It's like saying only those on the fucking Mayflower can be European American. Then what do you call the rest of the white people? Well, there is no rest of the white people, no? But I mean, like, Irish Americans and Italian Americans at points in history had, like, unique upbringings and unique experiences, no? But
Italian people. My face one.
Good.
Just as well as anybody else, you don't believe that. So you think white people are better than you.
Your prompt perhaps could have been, we should do more to prevent crime and poverty in black communities, right? That's a way of framing the argument that is about
You can say you
solutions
can
and aid.
frame or whatever you want. You are focusing on, we're talking about black
I'm
people.
focusing on
and
language
you're
because words are important.
No, we're talking about black people and you're focusing on what white people are doing. So
All right,
who
we do
harm
have
black
to
people more
pause.
than
We
other
gave
black
you
people?
guys
Probably the
more
people who brought us
time.
over here on boats.
Black
Gentlemen,
sodas?
the time's up now.
That was
All right,
fun.
thank you.
Appreciate you.
Woo.
Nicotine, the ultimate biohacker secret.
sorry, it's a vape commercial. Stop! It's a vape commercial!
Secret weapon has made a wild comeback.
Or something.
But why is that clean lifestyle still fueled by big tobacco's chemical-laden slop? For those who switch out LEDs for incandescence, source raw milk, and read every single label, it's time to stop compromising. Introducing Knick-Knack. the nicotine solution that actually complements a clean routine. This family-owned company manufactures a superior nicotine lozenge right here in the USA. Affectionately known as a lip brick, this fully
I'm getting fucking trolled in my
option
bot
is
lane right
crafted
now.
with just 6 premium ingredients, including real essential oils for authentic flavor. There are no pH adjusters, no plastic pouches, and absolutely no waste. Available in 3 and 6 milligram strengths, this is nicotine perfected. Reject the compromise and raise the standard. Go to knickknack.com/surrounded and use code surrounded for 20% off. Or use the store locator to find
do you think he's a crazy idiot or a grifter? He feels like a grifter because he's an idiot, but I'm not sure how much he believes what he argues. For the Officer Tatum guy, of all the shit I've ever looked at in my lifetime, black issues in the United States, like culturally, that shit is just so insanely fucking complicated. It's just the amount of cultural content there is just a lot. So, I mean, like people can occupy a ton of different positions in that argument. And it's just, yeah.
Snacks near you. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
My next round of claim is that black people hurt black people more than any other group.
If you'd like to be the next debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, nice to meet you.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Great, nice to meet you. I'm great. Okay, I personally think that, since we're talking about groups, I think that Republicans, their leadership caused more harm.
It's also not, it shouldn't be, maybe, I don't know. It shouldn't be lost on you that there aren't very many black women talking here. Because they might also give you some way different opinions on this. Not that it's okay and not that it's justified. And if you're a black man listening to me, I'm not trying to imply that their opinions are more legitimate than black men's opinions, but there's a lot of dynamics, everything going on. A lot of stuff here.
I think the fact that Louisiana, which has one of
the most needed.
True.
Highest murder rates, or a cop, has one of the highest poverty rates that's run by Republicans. And honestly, with the Voting Rights Act, they just axe the fact that black people can have a voice. So when we talk about like political harm, Republicans are trying to destroy black people. When we talk about economic harm, Republicans, I mean, with the tariffs, with just how we're doing as a country right now, Republicans have axed any way that black people can be able to speak, profit. We can go back to racist policies like redlining that, President Trump has participated in twice. I just don't understand how black people are doing more harm there.
Okay, I disagree with a few things that you've claimed. But what I'm saying is that if you look at, I don't know the ages of everybody in this room.
Right. Why aren't black women speaking here? Because depending on where you pull your population of black women from, sometimes they're your like biggest black men haters.
But if you're 25 and under, the leading cause of death for you is being murdered by another black person.
Where?
What do you mean where?
Where are victimizations of black people higher?
In black neighborhoods.
Where? In red states? In Mississippi?
No,
in Missouri? Right?
Well, not necessarily true. Mississippi as a state, obviously, has majority white people that live in it. We're talking about cities that are primarily black that are dealing with these issues.
So my problem with this is that whenever we talk about black harm, we're only able to talk about murder rates.
No, it's not just murder rates. I would argue that black people systemically voting for Democrats have been very harmful to the black community.
How?
Well, when you look at, let's start from Martin Luther King all the way on. There's plenty of statistical data points where black people have declined.
Who had?
In the birth rate, let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In young black people born into single parent homes, black people engaging in employment.
Can I talk
and mind
about
you, hold on 1
employment?
second. Let me get to point by point.
Yeah.
And this entire time, black people have been consistently voting for Democrats, which I argue is hurting the black communities.
You went to employment, right? Okay. So let's talk about unemployment. Who had the lowest black unemployment?
What you mean, who had administration?
What president? Yeah, what president?
Well, Joe Biden did.
Okay, so Joe Biden, the Democrat, right?
Let me explain. The first decline that we saw, which was historic, was under President Trump.
Yeah, and then it was historic under Biden, right? And then
it went down under Joe Biden.
After a pandemic, right? It was historically low in 2023 at 5.3 or 5.2 for black unemployment, which beats Trump's 5.5, which increased to like a 7.9 by the end of his year.
Some people can argue that Trump's policies residually rolled over into Biden's administration.
Like the Tax Cut and Jobs Act.
Opportunity zones help black people. Tax cuts.
Is that why he didn't bring them back and brought them back for rural areas?
Tax cuts do help black people. I don't know if you believe this or not, but black people do have jobs.
Why did
they do rely
on
taxes being cut.
That's why
to help
Biden
benefit.
had a lower unemployment rate. But when we were talking about tax cuts, Biden had a child tax credit. that Trump took away, that the Republicans didn't want to put into his 2023 and 2024 year. So why are the Republicans stopping those tax cuts that you said black people have children that we don't care about?
I think we're getting off track. The premise of what I'm saying is that the ailments that we see in the black community are perpetuated by other black people. Listen, let me say, the drugs that are sold in our communities are sold by us. The crimes that is committed in our communities, that's devastating our communities, are perpetuated.
Just a heads up, my understanding, maybe there are certain crimes that break the mold on this, but my understanding is every single group victimizes itself. It's just a matter of like where they live. So white people tend to be victimized by white people more, Asian people by Asian people more, black people by black people. That's just like a reality of crime, just because you tend to commit crime in the areas when you're in. It's my understanding for that.
Primarily
So
by
what's your
us.
solution?
Okay,
What should
pause,
black people
I can give you a solution.
You've been voted out by the majority.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a great one.
Thank you, brother.
If you would like to be the next debater, please get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Do you see how far Tesla has dropped? No. Has it? Isn't it still way too $1 trillion market cap? Oh, it has fallen quite a bit.
Get snark, Elon Musk.
Where are my boys? We went in it was 1 year ago. Wait, was the Luigi killing only a year ago? Tomorrow, we will be at our 1 year, guys.
And are you selling?
I think so. I'm up bigly.
How much you up? So if any CEO gets assassinated,
whoa! We don't support that here. Chill. Damn.
Well, I don't
How are
support
you?
assassinations.
Good. I'm Zena. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Okay, so black people hurt black people more than anyone else hurts black people.
Okay.
My question to you is why?
Well,
I think on 500K, I think I'm up like 350K. It was a good investment.
Jeez.
It's like 70%. I posted something in the chat earlier. So if you guys jumped in on me for that, we're going to be doing the stock tips channel. Oh, just kidding. That's somewhere Alex, but damn. My UNH guys, UHC, whatever the fuck the company's called, don't care. Oh, 1 year? Yeah, if you jumped 1 year ago, 72% gains. Woo!
That's a really good question. I think that it stimulates from a few different facets, and I think a lot of them are responsible, but for the most part, by black people. When you are not raised in a loving household and you're not protected, you don't have a father in the household, those things lead to devastating outcomes. Young men doing things they're not supposed to do, like we see in modern society, these young YNs. All of these things are contributing factors to decisions that we make.
Okay, cool. So what you're describing is a byproduct of poverty, right? And what we know under a capitalist system is that poverty
Young ninjas.
compounds over time in history as well as wealth. And what has happened systematically as well as systemically in this system is that black people have been pushed away from wealth creating mechanisms. This has happened for generations, even past slavery. Even if we were to argue that after slavery, nothing else happened. There was no Jim Crow laws. There's no redlining. There's no unequal implementation of the GI Bill. We would still see that like our country has lived under the disenfranchisement of black people longer than it has been free. So my question is, what do you think accounts for like the $4 to $16 trillion that was stolen from black people through slavery? Like where is that equalizing mechanism?
I don't believe that you can say that money was stolen from black people during slavery.
Oh, but
let me explain. Because money wasn't stolen, opportunities were not there because black people were slaves. It's not a fair comparison.
So imagine this: you got 200 people on a plantation, and they're making you millions and millions of dollars, right, a year. Through their labor, right? So what happens is there's no money to steal because black people weren't granted the humanity
you're
to
saying
be compensated
black
for the value
people,
that they created.
Well, let's look at it like this. This is an environment and a dispensation of time where slavery was a fact and a reality around the world.
And we live under capitalism, right?
Let me explain. So it's not like it was somehow uniquely.
Oh, it was very unique to the West.
It's not uniquely in the United States of America.
Chattel slavery?
Majority of the slaves
Do you want to
were in
compare
South
chattel
America.
slavery?
Let me just give you an example. Majority of the slaves were in South America. You do agree to that. About 400,000 black people
Do we
were
want to
made
focus on
slaves
America,
over
though?
time.
Why are we pivoting the conversation? My
We're
question
not pivoting
was
anything. You jumping around.
No.
Let's stick to something.
I actually don't know anything about South America in like the 1700s or whatever. What were the big places in South America? Is he talking about like shit was wild? Yeah, but were there like what? I have no idea what the big empires or entities or whatever. Brazil was very bad for slavery. Was it a colonized place or was it just like
Come to Brazil.
It must be, right? They speak fucking Portuguese there, no?
Yeah, it was a colonized.
But I don't know. I don't know the timelines on it, literally any of it. So.
Question I asked you around 2 minutes ago I asked you this.
I feel like you want to be confrontational more than you want to get to the bottom of a conversation. You're saying
it's unfortunate
Portugal
that's the
colony
way
with
that you
huge
feel about how I'm trying
that's
to
not
approach
true.
a question.
We need to stick to a
What's
point.
the
Are you saying
equalizing mechanism? $4 to $16 trillion, right, was the revenue that was created through the unpaid labor that came from chattel slavery.
In my opinion, you cannot judge slavery and act as if black people even had a fair chance in the first place.
That's what I'm talking about here.
Let me explain. We need to talk in terms of after slavery was abolished, what opportunities were presented to black people.
If we do that, we cut out around 2/3 of the story, right? So what I told you before, right? We live under capitalism, and if we live under capitalism, what we know is a couple things. Wealth comes from capital, and capital compounds, right, value. So what happens is property taxes.
Are you trying to say that inevitably black people will never have an opportunity to be successful in America? Is that what you're saying?
I'm explaining something really, really crucial here that'll help you
answer that? Because I think we'll be on the same
You can't interrupt
platform.
me when we're not having the same conversation.
I'm trying to get to a point where we can have a real discussion.
If it is the case that property taxes, right, fund our school systems, build them up, okay, and we see redlining literally labeled neighborhoods where black people were living.
The Dems are so doomed if every argument is some proxy for capital. Well, yes, but it doesn't. It's different here for black people, because the issue here is this is not like a class, whatever, like black people didn't have capital like the capitalist class did. It's that you had huge portions of it had 100% of the black community, or I don't know why I'm saying this, slaves in the United States were building like up manufacturing, or not manufacturing, I guess, or textile, whatever the fuck, all the, farmer stuff and everything going on in the South. Like all of that industry is built on the backs of black slaves, but they didn't collect any of the money for it. So, the argument for like 40 acres and a mule or any kind of reparations being paid, like reparations being paid for a history of racism in America is fucking retarded. But the idea or the concept of trying to make right, and I don't know if there's even a good way to do this, like wages lost from slavery, when obviously the families and the corporations and the people that benefited from slavery, managed to maintain that generational wealth or managed to maintain that wealth in their communities, I think is a much fairer argument. But it's not just a matter of like, labor versus capital. It's a matter of like, these people were literally slaves and built decent chunks of the South, but would never, ever, ever fairly compensated for it.
As in harmony.
We know she called herself anti-capitalist on the last Jubilee Destiny Watch. Oh wait, this one? Oh, she might be a commie or something. She might be, but I'm just saying that with regards to slavery, it's a different argument than just like a wage worker is also like a slave,
Full of inharmonious racial groups to the point where they couldn't get the mortgage, right? This was 60 years ago? Grandparents, parents, right, who experienced that inability to have a home. 2/3 of the middle class gets their generational wealth from properties. Where's this equalizing mechanism? Why do you expect there to be a similar playing field?
Okay, I think we're going to go in circles if we go back in time. What mechanism?
Oh, we got to.
I'm saying that we're going to get to a standstill. What mechanisms are in place today that prevent you from having the same financial success as anybody else in this country?
Does inheritance exist under capitalism?
I'm asking you to answer this question.
Because I've asked two questions now that were ignored.
What mechanism in place currently prevents you from being financially successful as anybody else in this country?
The continuity of private property, right? So I'm answering the question.
Are you not allowed to own property?
That's not the question here. It's who had access to property.
No, we know. Let's put it this way, because we're going to get into an argument in circles.
I don't think it's going in circles. I think you're not answering the question.
Here's the thing that we can agree on.
I asked 2 questions.
Let me say, this is the thing that we can agree on. We can agree that there was discrimination in this country. We can agree that there's some elements of...
Do you agree that inheritance exists?
We can agree that there's elements of things that happen in this country that put black people behind. We can agree to that.
Okay.
But what I'm telling you is that we cannot still live 60 years ago
We're living in the future.
And act as if we don't have an opportunity today.
Here, let me...
We could break down redlining. We can go through the process of all these different things.
Let me address it.
Because I don't think that we're telling the full story about redlining. I don't think we're telling the full story about economic opportunity for black people in America today.
I think you're right. So white families, on average, have a 10 times higher median household income than black people.
Why is that?
And that's what I want to answer for you.
Let me answer it.
No.
Let me answer it for you.
You asked me a question. Why are you answering the question that you asked to me?
You just let me answer the question for you.
No, I don't want you to answer it for me, because I want to answer. I want to participate in it back and forth.
Okay, come on.
The reason is because wealth in this country is passed down. The biggest, in 2020, they projected that $765 billion, right, was passed down through gifts and bequests to the American population, right, the middle class, and that's just the middle class. That is the majority way that wealth funnels down in this country.
Are you saying that black people
can't pass
are
down
not
wealth?
currently able to have financial success in this country just like white people?
I'm saying that we're comparing a tortoise to a hare right now.
I don't think that's true.
I think it's
are you
absolutely
alluding to
true.
the fact? Let's talk about redlining real quick, because I think that it's been disproportionately represented.
How would you answer his question? I think the most important thing you can do with people like this is you got to drill super hard into their priors, because with the way that conservatives talk about responsibility, if that's all you want to talk about, then fine. But I'd be curious if the black guy is going to like own up to the idea that his argument essentializes that black people are inherently just not capable of doing it. That there's something like essential about the black race that makes it impossible. Because if you're just going to say repeatedly, for some reason, you know, black people aren't succeeding, and it doesn't have much to do with like any historical reason or current material conditions, then the question is, okay, well then why aren't they succeeding? And he can try to make up whatever about like, well, the culture or whatever other bullshit. It's like, okay, but why? But you admitted yourself this is just a black people thing, right? So why do black people have this issue but white people don't? And I don't know how you ever get through that without just saying, I guess it's just black people are just inherently more fucked than white people or something. So I don't know. I don't know how you escape that answer.
When you talk about redlining, do you know? And I think it's good for the crowd to understand this, that in
redlining, which is based on credit scores,
the red line districts, 92% of all the people who live in the red line districts were white. Are you aware of that?
Where is this source coming from? Redlining specifically labeled.
Do you not know this as a fact?
Okay, how about this? The underwritings of the HOLC specifically said that black groups, right, were seen as inharmonious groups that we should be very wary. No. Let's look it up. The fact check will be somewhere here or here for you.
FHA,
right? It said
that's what the
inharmonious
FHA,
groups.
That's
black
what the
people were
FHA
titled
determined.
as FHA. Okay, they
Okay,
both
we're
work
gonna pause
together.
No, they did not work together. They were different.
No, they were different, but they worked together.
Guys, we do have to pause. You've been voted out. Thank you. If you would like to be the next debater, get to that chair in 3, 2, 1.
Peace, brother.
What's up, brother?
So we were talking about black on black crime.
Yeah, we can address that.
Black on black crime is a myth. Human beings create crime based off where they're at. In the 90s, there was an opioid epidemic, specifically Oxycontin. This was white drug dealers selling this medicine to white fiends.
Okay.
Over 80,000 people in the year 2023, according to the CDC, overdosed from opioids. That same year, 31,000 people overdosed from cocaine. Now, a portion of those cocaine users were likely black people. The year 2023, according to the CDC, overdosed from opioids. That same year, 31,000 people overdosed from cocaine. Now, a portion of those cocaine users were likely black people.
How much to OD on cocaine? Does that include if you take, is it considered like an OD on cocaine if it was like laced with something and then you, obviously you get fucked up from whatever it's laced with, or?
On crack. However, more than twice as many people overdosed on opioids that were white drug dealers selling to white fiends. However, in no instance did anyone come up,
really,
a policymaker, and say that this opioid crisis was white on white crime. However, when black people engage in crime based off where they're at, the government uses it as an excuse to overcriminalize them in a way that white communities are not criminalized at all.
I disagree with you because I don't think that anybody's saying.
You get really bad heart stuff from too much coke? I think you'd have to do a fuck ton of coke to actually like have your heart explode, or if you have a pre-existing condition, maybe. But
black on black crime,
or if you drink and do coke at the same time because it like fucking goes Super Saiyan in your body and you explodes or whatever. What's the name? There's a name of some chemical or whatever that's created if you do both at the same time. It's not good.
Necessitates a police
Not
response.
good.
People point out that black people disproportionately, or I'll say, to a
Coke
higher
ethanol or
degree
whatever?
per capita,
Coke
kill
and
each
ethylene?
other
I don't
more
know.
than any other group.
It's not accurate.
That is 100%
Not true.
accurate. That
Not
is
true.
100% accurate. Anybody can fact check that.
not
We
true.
kill each other at a higher rate per capita than any other group. That is a fact. Now, the reason that people point this out is because others try to claim that the biggest threat to our existence, the biggest threat to our young people are white people,
Absolutely.
or systemic racism.
Absolutely. The biggest
But
threat
the
to
reality is the cause of death, the leading cause of death for young people 25 and under, from 15 to 25, is being murdered by another
Okay.
black man.
I dig
then
it.
you go on beyond that,
I dig it.
and the leading cause of death is what? Health issues.
I dig it.
Heart
I dig it.
disease,
I dig it. So the biggest,
diabetes,
okay,
and
I
other.
got you.
It has
I got you.
nothing
I
to do
got
with
you.
white people.
Okay, cool. So the biggest threat to black people and the biggest threat to the world is the system of racism and white supremacy that we live in. Because the system of racism and white supremacy.
To go up to like a white guy and be like, "Yo, what's up, my," and then do a handshake. That'd be sick.
Try it sometime.
I'll give you an example. I'll break it down. The system
directly
of racism,
affecting you.
Exactly. The system of racism, white supremacy affects every faction of interaction.
Give me an
talking,
example.
I'll give you an example. We're talking economic, social, and sports. So these these black drug dealers that you're mad at. For example, Freddie Gray. Freddie Gray was a petty black drug dealer.
He still was selling drugs.
Yes, he
To
was
who?
selling drugs.
Who was he selling drugs
He was
to?
selling drugs to black people.
Okay.
But no petty white drug dealer
No,
has
we're
ever
not-
been
why we
thrown in
gotta
in the back of a
That's not
paddy
true.
wagon and ended
That
up
is not
dead.
true. They just
only
didn't get
black
publicity.
people are only petty
That's
black
not
drug
true.
dealers are criminalized for selling drugs. That's because we live in a system
You want to go to
of
Freddie Gray?
racism,
You wanna
white
go,
supremacy
who was the judge?
that over
who was the judge?
over criminalizes
Who was the judge?
the actions of black people.
Who was the
and
judge?
overlooks.
I didn't follow that one as closely. Or I don't remember it that well. But I think Freddie Gray got arrested. I don't know if he got roughed up by the cops a little bit, but they put him in the back of the police vehicle. Then they drove him to the precinct. By the time he got there, he was like dead. So somebody fucked up. I don't know if they like did a cause of death or whatever, but it was not good.
Petty white crime.
Who was the prosecutor and judge that allowed those police officers to get off in that crime? It was a black judge and a black prosecutor.
Also, in
And there were
2018,
black officers
there were multiple officers in Baltimore who were found guilty of planting drugs and weapons on black people and arresting them. That is an example of racism, white supremacy being used to weaponize crime and criminalize black people. You've never heard an instance in which petty white drug dealers have had drugs and weapons planted on them that has led to their arrest.
Have you ever been a police officer?
God,
have you ever
no.
arrested? Have
God,
you ever
no.
arrested anybody?
God, no.
Well, let me break this down.
God,
the things
no.
that you're saying are focused on what's happening in the black community. You don't know what's happening in the white community.
I know exactly. I just told you they're fiended out. I told you there's an opioid crisis. White street drug dealers are selling fentanyl and Oxycontin and opioids to white fiends. But it's cool and it's not over criminalized.
Cool to
because
who?
It's cool to
you're saying,
it's cool to the government. It's cool to the people it's cool to the people that write the laws. The people that write the laws, the government and the politicians are not over criminalizing this behavior. They're not chasing the white dope dealer, the white petty drug dealer. They're not chasing him around and throwing him into the back of a bag in the back of a paddy wagon.
What makes you
the
think
same way that Freddie Gray got thrown into the back of a
What makes you
paddy
think that
wagon.
they're not chasing criminals?
Timothy, please let Officer Tatum speak and address what you're
Yeah,
concerned about.
you said a lot of things. If you're saying that there's no instances where white people are getting arrested for criminal activity, or you're saying that they're not thrown in the back.
Like sometimes I feel like maybe on these shows too, like sometimes these guys are getting just a little bit too woke. Like I feel like you could extract a more general argument here, and I think you kind of have to agree that when black people have drug issues in their lives or in their communities, it's like kind of seen as like, I mean, they're black people and it's a moral failing obviously on black people. But when white people started to have issues with fentanyl, like all of a sudden this was like or not fentanyl, but like painkillers in general, this became like a national level crisis that we all had to address, like the plight of like white people dying from drug overdoses. And it was the worst thing ever. And there were these huge like federal pushes and everything to cut down on it. We started talking about China shipping drugs over. Like when white people got impacted, it was a really, really, really big deal. But it seemed like we didn't have the same types of conversations about drug addiction before white people had the issues, I think.
They're not criminalized the same way as black people.
No, that's not true.
What I'm saying is these white drug dealers are not policed and criminalized and put on TV and looked at as criminals and drug dealers in the same way that petty black drug dealers like Freddie Gray are criminalized and thrown in the back of paddy wagons.
Let me respond to you. I think that
I have to pause it here. He's been voted out by the.
There was also, yeah, that's true too. If you want to get, so I would push in wokely here. I think there are some things where people get like really woke and it's really cringe, and I think there are other areas where you can be mega woke and you should be really cringe. Like the attacks against like Kamala for not being qualified, and Donald Trump is. That's, I don't know how the fuck you could ever arrive at that position without just like fucking hating women and black people. That's just crazy. But the idea that if you were to try to make the argument that there was like, you know, white people, yeah, fine, you have surgery and you have some pain. How does a fucking old white guy get addicted to fucking painkillers? Like, what a fucking loser. I think people would go after you for making statements like that. I don't think people would be okay with you demonizing white people for having drug addictions or whatever like that. They would tell you to have, you know, compassion and empathy and whatever else. But it feels like for minority communities, it's a bit of a different standard, I would say, for sure.
Majority.
It's good.
If you would like to be the next debater, please get to the chair.
What laptop do I have? I bought
Yeah.
some gaming laptop, MSI thing. I don't remember. You just want to watch movies in the highest quality?
Yeah, I want the best fucking screen, man. I don't even know if I'm gonna buy this. I'm just curious what the prices are for laptops right now.
I don't know. Can you touch on again why DSA has issues with black votes? Because Marxist perspectives mean that you exclusively, or I don't know all of them, but you almost exclusively analyze things through the lens of class. And class obviously doesn't take into account a whole bunch of other identities that people have. And so it's harder for them sometimes to communicate with minority communities because they're not seen as being as sympathetic to their, I guess, plight. Or not just minority communities, any community that's just not just like purely class focused.
In 3, 2, 1.
Back again. Okay, so thank you for clarifying the prompt for us, because I was a little confused reading it, because white people hurt white people around the same rates. But I guess my question is like, starting when and how are you quantifying harm?
Okay, that's a great question. I think that we can go all the way back to the beginning if you want to in slavery. When the slave trade was proliferated, black people enslaved each other.
Where?
In Africa. Black people enslaved other blacks in Africa and sold them all over the world. That, to me, that's an incredible harm of black people inflicting on other blacks and perpetuated across the world. Then you have slavery now.
Something that might be better for you too, actually, is you could try them out, I guess, to see if you like them. But it might be better to just buy like an okay laptop and then just get an external screen that you can take with you.
Yeah, I have an external screen. I just don't know if it's like the...
Because where do you want to watch these movies at?
I probably just in bed.
Yeah, okay. This is going to sound really princessy, but I actually think it's really important. I think getting the external screen is better. Any sufficiently powerful laptop I've had, I can't have it in bed with me because it's way too fucking hot. If you put it on your legs, you're gonna get burned. If you put it on the covers, I feel like maybe it's not a big deal, but I feel like I'm gonna set my fucking house on fire. That shit gets way too fucking hot.
Yeah, the laptop's still really good too. So yeah, maybe I'll do just an external screen. Fuck it.
Perpetuated in South America, you have it in the United States of America. That is initial harm. I would argue that the point in time of slavery in America as we know it, I believe that white people hurt black people more than black people did.
Yes.
Now we go post-slavery.
Okay.
I believe that black people began to take the torch and destroy themselves or destroy other blacks more than any other group in America.
Okay, so let's start post-slavery. I'm gonna ignore the thing about black people selling black people in Africa.
Is that not true?
Well, do you know how many black people were sold as slaves to each other in Africa?
Well, millions were sold in the slave trade around the world.
Are you talking about the transatlantic slave trade or before the transatlantic slave trade?
Transatlantic slave trade.
Okay, yeah, but that was by white people again.
What you mean it was by white people? I'm saying that black people enslaved other blacks and sold them to white people. I think
they
that
were
was
primarily
was that
kidnapped
not true?
by the Portuguese.
There was not
The main-
primary
yes,
kidnapping.
the
It was an
main
actual
method.
legal slave trade that existed.
Yes, I mean,
The race discussion in the USA is so toxic. Jesus, at Destiny. Trump's war on fentanyl and the excess deaths of white people had nothing to do with Oxy. Destiny is obviously biased. I don't know how those two statements connect. I'll just say that in my entire life living in the United States, and maybe I missed it, I have never in my life heard the statement that black people are abusing downers too much because a lot of them had surgery for painful things and got addicted to the medications that their doctors prescribed. I've never heard that set of words in my entire life. But I'm just saying that I think that when different groups of people have problems in the U.S., I think they're treated quite differently. That's all I'm saying.
Millions of transactions between
the
Africans.
legal slave trade that existed before the transatlantic slave trade was mainly based on when a tribe conquered another tribe, they were prisoners
Still
of
enslaved.
war, which is still enslaved, but it's different from the transatlantic slave trade when we're talking about black people hurting black people versus white people hurting black people, right? But I wanted to go focus on your claim about
post-slavery.
But trade when we're talking. I wanted to go
Wait, has this guy spoken yet? Who's this cool motherfucker? Why hasn't he gone up and said anything? The fuck?
focus on your claim about
post-slavery.
Post-slavery, yes. So the primary.
Wait, who was he? Which one? What did he talk about? I don't remember the quote. Oh no, he was up here. Never mind. Okay.
I guess what do you think black people were doing post-slavery?
Well, you know, I think there's a period of time where there was an explosion of black excellence.
Yes, Reconstruction.
After slavery was abolished.
Right.
You know, we have black people fighting in the military, black people owning their own companies,
Yes.
building wealth. We have Black Wall Street.
Okay.
We have, you go on, so on and so forth.
Right.
And I believe that as black people begin to support Marxist theology.
Why would you bring up Black Wall Street when it was literally destroyed in like a racial hatred-inspired massacre? Okay.
The King and others put us.
What was Black Wall Street? There, I think it was in Tulsa, because they're called the Tulsa race riots as well. It was like the highest concentration, I think, of black wealth in the entire United States in terms of business owners and everything else. And then I think there were like huge race riots, and all of it was basically fucking destroyed.
In a path
Okay.
where
Let's
we
pause.
rely on the government more than our own resilience.
Okay.
And you cannot tell me that that's not true.
So let's pause because we just skipped like a good 30 years of history. We just skipped like 3
I'm
decades
giving
of
you a
history.
summation from the 30s to the 60s.
Yeah. So we did Reconstruction, and Reconstruction was ended, right? Because the South took back. At the time, we had Northerners in the South who were running the South so that the Union could stay together. Once the North left the South, Reconstruction ends, and that's when we see black people start to decline. It wasn't Karl Marx. Karl Marx didn't come in and
I said
say,
Marxist theology. I didn't say
But
Karl Marx.
It wasn't Marxist theology. I mean, we're just ignoring the history of sharecropping. That's ignoring the history of Jim Crow, right? You think that Karl Marx
wanna
was
talk about
worse
those
for the
things.
black community than Jim Crow
This is-
segregation?
Let me argue this point. Capitalism has rescued and made successful so many people of different backgrounds and demographics. That's why America is so great. What I'm saying is that black people being resilient, operating through capitalism, and believing in themselves and being self-sustainable was the best path for blacks, and they were successful in that. When they begin to rely on the government, begin to rely on handouts, begin to listen to foolish things that people like Martin Luther King said, it caused us to be more dependent on the government, less dependent on ourselves, and now you see decline in multifaceted areas.
Okay,
Consistent, let me say, I'm gonna let you speak, I'm gonna let you speak. But what I'm saying is that when you look at other groups, minority groups, they did not fall for that. You look at the Jewish population, look at immigrants that came over here, they were self-sustainable, they worked within their community, they built wealth.
That came over here, there's a difference. Something's a little different there.
Generational wealth amongst each other. They did not farm out their existence to
Can
the
I
government.
speak now, please? Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So the other immigrant groups that you're talking about, first of all, were not subject to Jim Crow segregation laws. But do you? I just want you to answer.
Jews were subject
I
to
just
Jim
want you to
Crow laws.
answer this question, yes or no.
Okay.
Do you think that Karl Marx hurt the black community?
I'm sure there was definitely discrimination against Jewish people, but to say they were subject to Jim Crow in the same way, I don't think that's true. I've never heard that claim before, at least.
Community and his ideology hurt the black community more than Jim Crow segregation.
I have to think that through. Jim Crow segregation.
What is there to think about?
Because you're
By the
acting.
way, Karl Marx is white, so
listen,
that would still be a white person in the black community. Just saying.
But then Martin Luther King embraced his theology.
Okay, but so
which is a black man leading the black community off a cliff.
Where is this idea that MLK was a Marxist? I've also never heard this before, but okay. This sounds like a thing white people and dumb conservatives would try to say. I don't know.
Now let me just say this.
So you think
I'm
that- wait,
saying
so
that
Carl,
every black
then let
person
me
was
ask
not
you that
subject.
question.
Every black person was not subject to Jim Crow laws. Every black person did not live in the South. There was a lot of successful black people during that time period. I mean, I'm gonna give you an example.
The Harlem Renaissance, of course.
I'm gonna give you an
We have
example of black people
Northerners.
who were incredibly successful through what? Capitalism. We see Madam C.J. Walker, the first female millionaire out of any race, very successful in the late 1900s, late 1800s,
Okay,
early
but that's
1900s.
one
That's
person.
not just one.
That is
we have
one
we have a
person.
tremendous amount of success.
My friend, it feels
George
like you're
Washington
forgetting-
Carver. We have.
I'd let you talk for a long time.
okay.
I would like my turn to speak.
Well,
I feel like
okay.
we're completely jumping over history. We go from slavery to Martin Luther King, then all the way back. We ignore the history of sharecropping, right? We've completely glossed over sharecropping. We've completely glossed over Jim Crow laws and how much wealth was stolen from the black community. We've completely glossed over the Tulsa race riots. And when black people did succeed under capitalism, those communities were destroyed. We've completely glossed over eminent domain and how much of the black community was taken, like literal black.
Let's talk about.
Like what about Seneca Village?
Let's talk
Like,
about
what about any
Black
of these
Wall Street.
communities?
Let's talk about Black Wall Street. Are we on the same page of what happened in the Tulsa riots?
Oh no, he's about to say some shit I've never heard in my life before. Was it black people's fault? Uh-oh.
Tulsa race war?
It depends. What do you think happened?
Well, I know what happened. There was a conflict between black and white people. There was a fight between the two. White people got the best of black people in Tulsa.
Then no, we are not on the same page.
Well,
no.
let me finish and you tell me where I'm wrong.
They got a new one every day.
In that fight, there was a lot of black businesses destroyed in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I've never even heard this one before. Their racism is evolving. Or I don't even know what you would call it. The historical revisionism is evolving. Holy shit.
They rebuild, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years later, and they begin to continue to succeed. Is that not factual?
No.
What's the truth? What happened then?
I mean, the truth is that a community of successful black people who were succeeding under capitalism were directly targeted because
They were not
of
directly
that
targeted. It was a
success.
conflict.
Yes.
It was a conflict between
No.
a black man, I believe it was a black man.
It started
and
when a
white.
black man was accused of lynching,
No,
or not
it
lynching,
was
was
not
accused
lynching.
of raping a woman. And then because of that, there was this
The
anger and a mob started.
Inappropriate behavior with a woman. There was a conflict that occurred. The first shots rang out from black people, shooting and killing several white people. And
So
then,
how many black people were killed in total?
Oh, I don't know how many black people killed in total. I just know black people fired
Well,
the
I
first
do.
shot.
Can I tell you?
Well,
It was
okay.
300.
How many
and
white
that's
people were killed?
like a low
How many
estimate.
white people were killed?
They not as many because it was a riot
Because
against
what
the
happened
black
was
community.
white people came up into Tulsa, Oklahoma. It became a
Can I ask
violent
you a question?
confrontation, and white people overran the black people in that
Can
confrontation.
I ask you? Because it kind of feels like
Oh man.
you're defending the race rioters.
I'm
a
not
little bit.
defending any race riots. I'm saying
It
it's
does.
a conflict that happened.
Can
You're
you
saying that
acknowledge
it's
that this
targeted.
is one example in
you're
which white
saying-
people hurt black people
you're
unjustly?
saying.
Can you just say this is one?
What you're trying to say is that black people are doing their own thing, and a bunch of white people just came up and destroyed all their property just because.
Yes.
That wasn't what happened.
That
It was a
wasn't what-
conflict.
So,
it was a
okay.
conflict that occurred that caused that to happen.
But you know the KKK existed, right?
They did.
Yes,
In
white
the
supremacy
South.
existed, and that was in
In
the
the
South. Where's
South.
Oklahoma?
I didn't say that white supremacy don't exist. We're not arguing.
These race riots were so bad. The one-sidedness that people who privately owned aircraft were flying these over Tulsa to bomb the fucking neighborhoods. Like this is a wildly disproportionate response, but
That was the point, though.
I'm not arguing that the Ku Klux.
Just reading on a quick thing from the wiki here. Numerous eyewitnesses described airplanes carrying white assailants who fired rifles and dropped firebombs on buildings, homes, and fleeing families. The privately owned aircraft had been dispatched from the nearby Curtis Southwest Field outside Tulsa. Law enforcement officials later said that the planes were to provide recon and protect against a Negro uprising. Law enforcement personnel were thought to be aboard at least some flights. Eyewitness accounts, such as testimony from the survivors during commission hearings and a manuscript by eyewitness and attorney Buck Colbert Franklin, discovered in 2015, said that on the morning of June 1st, at least a dozen or more planes circled the neighborhood and dropped burning turpentine balls on an office building, a hotel, a filling station, gas station, and multiple other buildings. The whites got the better of them. That's how people, me when I'm defending Israel and lefties' dreams, I guess.
Supremacy don't exist. We're not arguing
Yes, that was the point, though.
I'm not arguing that the Ku Klux Klan didn't have a negative effect in the black community. We're not arguing that.
But that's what we are arguing. The whole point of this prompt is that black people hurt the black community more than white people.
So,
and these are some examples of white people hurting the black community. And every time I give you one, you say, no.
Let's give
that ain't
an
happening.
example of some things that are ailments in the black community that I think that we can agree on.
Rap music.
The single parent household situation with
Right.
young black men born out of, young black men born and women are born to parents who are not married.
Okay, guys, please don't raise the flags on me. I have to make one point, and then I'll get it, okay? So, to the single parent
Look at
house,
that
I think that's a
solidarity.
great example, right? Because I think we can all agree we want black families to stay together. What is the leading cause of the separation of black families?
I think it's a degradation of values in the black community.
Would you say that the criminalization, black men disproportionately going to jail more, has an effect on the
And-
separation of the black households?
I would
of black
agree to that, but I would
Yes.
also say that is because of the choices and decisions that these young black men are making.
Perfect, thank you. I was hoping you would say that. So,
Is that not true? You don't go to
well,
jail.
hold on,
you
hold
go
on,
to jail
hold on,
for
pause,
selling
pause, pause,
drugs.
pause. Okay, you go to
okay?
jail for selling drugs. Can I read you a quote from Nixon's domestic policy chief, John Ehrlichman? This is at the start of the war on drugs, which we know is what led to a lot of mass incarceration of the black community, a significant increase in black men imprisoned and incarcerated for drug possession and selling. We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the Vietnam War or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities.
I'm not familiar with that quote.
Oh, really?
But
shocking.
I can go and read it later, but that's still
You
not
should
getting,
really
it's
read
not,
it later.
That's not getting to the point of saying that people are incarcerated because decisions that they made to commit crimes. Is that not true?
He kind of cooked her there.
Well, yes.
Never heard of that
The reason
one.
that none of us, the reason that none
Do you
of us,
want to respond to
the reason
what
that
he
none
just
of us,
said?
the reason that none of us are selling dope. Why? Because we don't want to go to prison. We value our lives. If you are going to sell drugs and you're going to kill people and you're going to commit robbery, you're going to go to jail.
Yes,
you
yes.
can't blame all of that on
you-
the war on crime or whatever the case
But the
may be.
war on crime was specifically to get
No, it
black
was-
men to go
it
to
is
jail.
nothing wrong.
They literally
It is
admitted
nothing wrong with imposing laws that help our community. You act
How
like,
does that help
let me,
our
Let me
community?
explain. You act like it's a good thing for black people to be selling drugs in our community. It is not. So when you go to jail for selling drugs, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of anybody that's rational, that is a benefit to the black community
Diva,
by
in
getting
this quote, he
drug dealers,
literally says-
criminals off the street, and our communities to be able to thrive, our property value to be able to go up. These people need to go to jail.
Dude,
That's not a negative.
Okay, I hear you, thank you. But literally, the domestic policy chief is saying we could disrupt those communities. He is openly admitting. No. I let you talk a lot. I need you to let me
I need you to
speak.
clarify
No.
this. Disrupt these communities in what way? What is he saying? Disrupt the communities.
By
what
heavily
is the end goal?
criminalizing
To what go? To what end?
to hurt black people.
So it hurt-
What would the prescription be here? Because crime, because no father, and no father because of he is in jail. I mean, for situations like this, the prescription is like you have to be. There's like a lot. There's a lot that you have to do. It's kind of like, listen, if you really want to understand, you really got to watch The Wire. I can't teach it to you. You just got to see it in media. But if you were to ask the question first, it's like, what does it take to make a good student? Like a student that has two parents in the household that can have a mom or a dad that stays home and makes sure that they're on their shit for homework. A person with a good school that has like after school programs that keep you busy all day. A person with like a strong like family, like extended family, can help with like babysitting and keeping the family active and involved in shit. There's all these little things build toward, and then like all of that is predicated on there being decent economic opportunities for the dad, like educational post school stuff for kids to go to. Like there's like everything working in a community is what enables a kid to be a good student. And there's just like a lot of, I don't know. That sounds like a cop-out answer, but I mean, you can talk about like on the individual level, basic thing like funding like meals and shit for school or extracurriculars for school, air conditioner for schools. Air conditioner and meals are like the two no-brainer things I see. And then past that, I don't know what the best like evidence-based stuff is to increase school, I guess, educational outcomes or whatever, but those are two big ones. This is like a highly multifactorial thing or whatever,
It hurt black people to get criminals off the street.
Officer Tatum, we have.
I mean, what would be Officer Tatum's prescription? Oh, I don't know. Whenever you ask these people, they always just say like people need more responsibility, but I don't know what the fuck that means or how that's supposed to just magically come about or whatever. I don't know.
You guys have gone over, so thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My final surrounded claim is that systemic racism is used as an excuse to avoid personal responsibility.
If you'd like to be the next debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, how are
Nice
you?
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What do you mean by systemic? Are you talking about like sociology within our society, or do you mean within the structure of our government?
I'm thinking that people would argue, because I don't feel systemic racism as a part of my life, but I'm thinking that systems or laws
That are put in place to
or even that are implemented or acted upon
to bring down black people.
is alleged to bring down black people.
You would say DEI was a hindrance to us, but
Saying
Republicans like to argue.
Systemic racism.
That's because that's what a lot of them will believe.
DEI, in my opinion, was the overcorrection
All right, back to your
of
fucking
injustices
Jubilee.
that has
Love you.
happened to black people, which caused, I think, more harm to black people than good.
So systematic racism does exist.
I think in part systematic racism and
Okay,
racism
so-
in America does exist.
Okay,
Systemic,
thank
I think,
you.
but that's
You
okay.
literally
I don't
just
think, but
confirmed.
my point is that I don't think that it rises to the degree that it affects black people where they cannot be successful in America and they cannot have the same opportunities as others do in America. I don't think
Okay.
I don't think it's a primary causation of black people or the things that are ailments in the black community that in marker points to go down and be degenerate.
So I like to think
I
that
think this is Spider-Man
when
today.
we put in red line districting, when we put all that stuff in, we saw that our schools were greatly affected by that. We saw that the systems within the schools were greatly affected in the way that some were more white schools and a lot of white districting, predominantly white districting, were way more economically benefited by the community around them than the black community who could not afford to grow any kind of economic revenue for themselves within the education system. We weren't able to get certain soccer fields. We weren't able to get different auditoriums for acting and stuff like that. You know, when you're not able to have those kind of like things in your school, how do you expect people to not want to go to the streets? How do you expect them to not want to, how do you expect them to invest in things that they cannot afford within their system?
Well, let me give you a perspective here. Not all black people are poor, right?
Well,
Not all
yeah,
black,
it's a
I know you're
diaspora.
not saying that, but I'm saying it's a lot of diversity within. So I grew up in a black neighborhood, right? All black people. Within the black neighborhood, there are
If you're not talking about, can you greenlight Double Wears Prada 2 for tonight? Sure.
those who succeed and those who do not succeed. There are those who go on and get a good education, even at the same school that I went to. There's some that do well and some that do not do well. That do well and some that do not do well. In my opinion, that's a perfect example of how I don't think systemic racism has much to do with the success of black people. It's personal decision making. Some of it does have something to do with
I
parents.
feel like you can do good, you can excel, you can be great, and I really do believe that there is a part of your person, you're part of your personality. But I'm saying that there is obviously, you can see that there are less black people that are able to graduate than white people. There are way
But I
more
don't think
white
that
people
has
that are
anything to
able
do with systemic
graduate.
racism.
No,
I
you
think it
don't.
has
You don't
everything
think that
to do
that
with
has
personal
anything.
responsibility.
You
I
don't
didn't say
think that has
anything.
anything to do with
I
them
didn't
not
say-
being
I
able
didn't
to
say-
afford
I
to
didn't say
continue going to
anything.
school because of the systems that were put in place?
I didn't
have
say
to
that
pause
it-
here. I'm so sorry. You have been voted out by the majority. Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. If you would like to be the next debater to the chair, get there in 3, 2, 1.
Bing.
What's up?
All right, I just want to.
Can I lay the foundation of this real quick?
I was just
for like
about
2
to have
seconds.
you do that.
So
Thank you.
what I want to say is, and I want us to be very clear about this, and I'm hoping that we all can at least come to a common knowledge of this. I do not believe that there's no such thing as racism in America. There's racism in America. There's systems that disproportionately affect black people in a negative way. But what I'm saying is that I don't even think it's close to a primary reason why black people see success or do not see success in America. So I think it's a very minor thing that occurs in society. Everybody has their own engagement with disparity in this country. Some believe it's discrimination. You have privileges of being better looking, you have privileges of being athletic, you have privileges of having parents. All of those things are contributing factors that everybody engage in.
Yeah.
Racism does exist in part. Systemic things that cause black people to be behind the curb in part does exist.
Sure.
But it's
So
not
let
a
me get to a
significant
couple
reason
of,
why black people succeed or not.
clarification questions.
Okay.
First and foremost, why are you saying systemic racism instead of just racism?
Well, you got to qualify it. I mean, I don't, systemic means a continuation of racial practices.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying from this point till now, that's why you would say systemic.
You believe in interpersonal racism? Can black people be racist?
Yeah.
One of the things that I hate about this conversation on systemic racism, I'm pretty sure the idea is supposed to be that because of things that have happened in the past and because of laws on the books that might exist today that aren't explicitly racist, it still manages without any overt racist action to prolong or continue basically racist outcomes, disparate outcomes. So like you can have a systemically racist society where none of the individual actors are actually like racist themselves, but just because of the things that have happened in the past and then the cycles that exist in society, it can be indefinitely perpetuated. But for some reason, a lot of people, when they talk about like systemic racism, they start to lean into arguments of like, well, white people might be racist, or sometimes there's still cops that are racist, but I don't think that's technically what it's supposed to mean.
Really?
Otherwise, we would just call that racist or racism.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you're just wrong. And
How am I wrong?
I got you. Don't worry about it.
Come on.
The reason why I asked about like why you brought it down to systemic is because it's a whole. Racism is a whole. It's an entire system, right? So when you talk about black people being racist, you have to understand the ability to actually flip the power structure. And
Can you give a current day example to help? It might be, I don't know, like there might, you could argue there's maybe systemic, like, let's say that it's the case that if your parents owned a home, then you're like 80% more likely to qualify for your own home or something. Black people not owning homes, you could argue, is a result of like a system in place that checks for certain types of things that you are disadvantaged in due to actually racist policies in the past, like slavery or Jim Crow. So there's like a racist law or a racist thing that was actually like racist in intent and outcome in the past, but then they roll back that law, but the impacts of that are still felt to today. And then there are other systems that, you know, in a roundabout way kind of perpetuate. You could argue policing in general it's kind of like a form of systemic racism because it has a huge disparate impact on black people, but then black people commit crimes for reasons that are because of overtly racist things in the past, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Use the premise of race and racism for your benefit. Question: who created race?
Yakub.
You know, that's a good question. I'm not really sure.
It was
White
a
people?
Portuguese man by the name of Gomes Inês de Zurara in 1452. He was actually commissioned by the Catholic Church, and they told him to go out and document the difference between these people, right?
Do you believe in race? Do you
It's a
believe race
social
exists?
construct.
No, you believe that it exists?
We live in the social construct. It's not biological.
So you're saying this man created it,
Yes, it's
and we
documented.
perpetuate it?
Yes, it's literally
Black people
documented.
also perpetuate it.
It's documented. They published two papal bulls, one in 1455 and one in 1457.
Yeah, so we're on the same
Yeah,
page. The
so
social construct is not really
Wait.
the
What was
determining
the
factor.
purpose of it being created, though?
Well, I'm not sure what his purpose was
I
to
got
creating
you.
race.
To justify chattel slavery, right?
I do not agree
It's
to that
literally
premise.
documented. I don't care.
I've never heard this before. I don't think the concept of race was invented that late, but I think that the concept of like white or like a white race and then a non-white race for slavery, I think was a unique American idea, I believe, but not the entirety. The entirety of like people of different races, I don't think is. I don't think that was a new American thing.
I don't agree to that. Okay.
I don't care. It's literally documented.
Okay.
So
I'll
the point
accept
being,
that.
the point being is that this system was literally created to disenfranchise black people. Specifically, it's the structuring maintenance of a hierarchy which continues to actually create a free and cheap labor class, chattel slavery. Prior to chattel slavery, there were slaves, but they weren't based off of race. After the creation of race, they engaged in chattel slavery to actually create this free and cheap labor class. Now,
But I don't think it was primarily to disenfranchise black people.
It literally was.
Race
You have to
has
go back
never
and read the Papal Bulls.
slavery was never about race.
It
was about cheap available labor.
Chattel slavery was about race.
Slavery, as
Chattel
we know
slavery was
and
about race. I'm not saying slavery.
The perpetuation of race, perpetuation of slavery was not
Why do you
instigated
keep
by
just
race.
saying slavery instead of chattel slavery? Acknowledge the thing that I'm saying.
Well, I don't really.
Do you know what the difference is
really,
between just slavery and chattel slavery?
I don't see that being a major point to the conversation that we're having right now.
You don't think chattel slavery is a major point?
To the conversation we're having right now, I don't think that there needs to be a delineation.
It literally is.
How
Gomez
does that
Inês
affect
de
you today?
Zurara said,
How does that affect you today?
I got you.
Okay, let's get that
Gomez Inês de Zurara said that these people were hypersexual, animalistic, they were the lower hemisphere, and they needed to be civilized. And they could civilize them vis-a-vis chattel slavery. Now, that rolls forward to where we are today.
How?
There's a whole bunch of stuff that you missed, but I'm going to skip forward.
Well, what policies are in place?
Right now. I'm getting there right now.
That back up your
right
claim.
now. The systems that black people exist in today that continue to disenfranchise us: medical racism, educational racism, financial racism. Quick
Explain
question.
that. Explain that to
I got
me.
you. Do you know?
I don't agree with you.
Do you know the black maternal mortality rate in the United States of America?
I don't know it, but I do know this: that black people have a disproportionate effect in that area.
Yeah, it's 50.3 versus the white.
But that's not
Hold on.
not necessarily. Discrimination and disparities are different. That's not necessarily meaning that somehow the medical system is intentionally
It's
discriminating
literally
against black
medical
people.
racism. You gotta let me finish. You
Okay.
gotta let me finish. 14.5 when it comes to the white maternity mortality rate. Do you know what the infant mortality rate is?
I do not know that offhand.
Yeah, the infant mortality rate is 10.8 versus white 4.5. There was a study that was completed that showed that when it comes to white babies, no matter who they're treated by, whatever race their doctors is, whoever they're treated by, they have the same possibility to life versus anyone else. Black babies, literally, the survival rate for black babies drop unless it's a black doctor taking care of the baby. Everyone else, the baby out of the womb, the black baby has less of a possibility to life. It's literally.
I can believe when it comes to things like prescribing pain medication and like different outcomes there based on like the doctor being racist or whatever. I don't know what is the mechanism that would be used to explain disparate outcomes for child survival rate that has to do with like some type of like unexpressed or like a hidden racist thing in the doctor. I'm not sure. I just don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure about that.
Let me give you a perspective, because just because there's a statistical data point, you gotta work through the data points, because what you're saying is that every white doctor is racist against black people. That's what you're
telling
implicating.
you that's medical racism.
So you're saying, so are you saying that when you go to the hospital, doctors are intentionally being racist against black?
Like, yeah, I don't know what the explainer for this is. Like, I can understand like the pain medication. You think a black guy is more likely to be a druggie, or a woman is just more bitchy. You don't take her seriously, or something like that. Like, I understand the mechanisms for that. I just don't know for the baby thing. Like, we got to save the baby. Like, it's got these conditions. Like, black baby, huh, throw him in the dumpster. She'll have another one. Like, I don't know what the...
That doctors are taught through pseudoscience. Question for you. Have you ever heard the myth that black people have thick skin?
I never heard of that.
It's literally a medical practice.
I've never heard of that.
It's something that's
I've never heard of it.
It's something that's derived from chattel slavery. It said black people have less nerve endings and thicker skin. And what
Where's
they said...
that taught at?
Oh, in medical school, literally medical school.
That black people have thicker
skin. I'll give you an example.
Now, wait,
I got you.
hold on. Now, we got to break this down.
Example.
So when you go to the hospital today, they're going to treat you differently because you somehow have thicker skin.
Yes.
What medical practice is in place right now to treat you differently?
They're literally giving less pain medication to black people because they think black people lie about their pain levels because they have less nerve endings. This is literally documented.
So you're saying every doctor is filled with racism, and so when a black person go to the hospital, they won't treat them fairly. They are incapable of treating black people fairly because they're black.
What I'm telling you is this is something that has been taught and passed down.
No, it's not. There's correlation and causation are two different things.
Can I give you direct information?
You're saying
there's
things.
Literally studies. You think it's a correlation causation, but there's studies on this.
What about comorbidities? What about the health of the mother
you're
when she go into the hospital?
You're not engaging
black people
in the premise just because you don't know the information.
No. This is what you're saying.
Can I finish my point about the whole medical racism with the nerve endings? The thicker skin?
Go ahead, man.
Sure. This was something that is derived from chattel slavery. They literally use this as an excuse. They said you can beat your black slaves because they feel less pain and they recover quickly. And so they use this as a pseudoscience to say that this still happens today. Hold on, I'm getting there.
Are black doctors taught the same
yes.
thing? Are black people...
You keep cutting me off.
We got to go point by point. You're saying the system is taught to anybody in medicine.
I have to pause it here. You have been voted out by the majority.
I wanted to finish
Thank you so much.
I'm telling you. Hey.
3, 2, 1.
All right. So you're talking about 2026, right? Okay, cool. You want to say that these systems no longer exist in the way that they have before, but kind of going off of some of the other claims, there's a resulting effect that comes from the decades and decades and generations that have not received like fairness and equity. So when you say personal responsibility, even what you said, like I come from a neighborhood where some people make it, some people don't. It's not that. Like you have a low floor and a high ceiling, right? For white people, their floor is a little bit higher because they start off with a little bit more. Their families come from a little bit more. They might have better choices as opposed to better outcomes. And I think that if you don't apply that sense of logic into the decision making of what you're saying, it's like you're kind of victim shaming people who already have one foot kind of like in a trap. And
like this argument is the least satisfying sounding for whatever reason, just because I don't know, nuance is just it sucks. But like this is like the closest I think to like the actual. This is a correct analysis of things. It's not that like all black people are screwed forever or that all white people have, these magical gifts or whatever, but it's just like on the aggregate, you have these things that we all know these are true in terms of advantages that people have unearned in life because of the families they're born into. In the past, some of these things were literally directly controlled by and caused by your race because of slavery, Jim Crow, whatever the fuck else. And then, it's good to be aware of that some people have like a leg up as a result of these things.
They're trying to run this race, but there's like barriers that's holding them back that have been there for decades.
Yeah, let me explain. I love what you said, and I think we agree on a lot of what you said.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there isn't disparity.
Right.
There's clearly disparity. You would have to be a fool to say that there's not disparity in law enforcement. There's not disparity in what we've seen with the negative effects of redlining, which we could go into that. You can't, it's not that there's not disparities. What I'm saying is that these disparities that exist, I don't believe that they're rooted in systemic racism, and I don't think that we can't overcome them.
Not related, but what's the truth about the claim or behind the claim? COVID deaths are over-exaggerated. Hospitals counted any deaths while someone had COVID as a COVID death. It's just not true. There's no good source for that claim. Yeah, it's just not true. King Vaughn, thank you for the 25 gifted subs.
Sheesh, 25 gifted. You own the Jew Stalker already.
Jesus.
And become better. I don't believe that because,
Can you add
like, and then also some of these
donuts real quick?
disparities, we have a lot of responsibility in changing these disparities.
Right.
Like we talk about a person's credit history. Like that's a personal responsibility thing. We talk about our young brothers getting locked up in prison, the things that we are doing and how we're teaching our young people, the music that we listen to, all of those things are contributing factors that keep us here when white people are here on average.
Gotcha.
I don't think that there's a system in place that's really holding us back beyond what we've done to ourselves. That's what my claim is.
And I'm willing to say, like, you know, as somebody who come from a neighborhood that not necessarily a lot of people went the college route, like I got a master's degree and everything like that, I'm reinvesting in my community and helping people out. But I do think that there's a piece of that you said, like, all of this, blah, 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 and then you said, but. And I think when you say that without like like it misses the mark of having humanity for people who might not, again, like choices are choices. And if I grew up in a neighborhood where I didn't have like books at a young age, I didn't have after school programs, my family couldn't afford a tutor, I couldn't get good lunch, so I'm eating the shit that you know what I'm saying? So it's
so let's keep that point. I agree.
Wait, I didn't get that. Wait.
Books at a young age. I didn't have after school programs. My family couldn't afford a tutor. I couldn't get good lunch, so I'm eating the shit that you know what I'm saying? So it's
let's keep that point. I agree with you 100%
because
you know I wasn't always Brandon Tatum, you know, making the money I make and all that other stuff, man. I grew up in a very balanced perspective.
Sure.
And I understand some people don't start from the same place. You know, when your mama and daddy selling dope, your daddy go to prison, your mama get killed, your chances of dealing through trauma is much different than if you had a healthy household. I don't want to come across as saying I don't understand what goes on in the inner city community. And this is more about poverty. No, what I'm saying is this is more about poverty than
100%.
race, in my opinion. When I was a cop patrolling poor white neighborhoods, they daddy wasn't there either.
Right.
And they were committing most of the crime in these poverty-stricken neighborhoods.
sure.
Education was not something that was afforded to some of these people. So it's not necessarily just a race thing, you know, and I want us to get past the point of using it as an excuse to say, because we're black, we uniquely have these things that are holding us back. And I don't know if that's true.
But no, so I work with students with special needs, right? And a lot of times what we say when we have their diagnoses is it's not an excuse as much as it's an explanation. And it's
we never talk about this because it's not a sexy issue and they just don't get any coverage or anything else. But like truly the best of the people that humanity has to offer are probably teachers that work with special needs students. It is an incredibly difficult job. It is insanely thankless. It is tons of work. It's just these are the real, not even
like,
I don't
know how we aren't paying our teachers more. They have unions and everything. I feel like the teachers could genuinely go on like a general teacher strike and get more money.
I don't know. Good question.
It's the most important thing in the United States is a genuine higher education.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like you have a reason or a rationale behind why.
What?
And nurses.
Oh, good one.
Something exists. And when you have that, it's like you have to let that seep into your thinking. And it's like you talk about the music or the movies or the TV shows, like it ain't, you know, Goodfellas and Godfather and Scarface and all these stuff with people who don't look like us, who, you know, we got power and, you know, all of that stuff like that. Cool, we got music, but don't act like we ain't seen Tiger King, you know, or You know what I'm saying? And they was out there anyway. But what I'm saying is, it's like there's microscopic like examples you can give of all of these things, but if you just look overall with all of the systems, there's never been like an equitable amount of it that goes towards black folks. And I think that for that reason, you have to embed that into your thinking. And I think, again, your claim is not horribly off, but it's also like without regard to the reality of the whole holistic situation.
So can we come to an agreement on this? Is that we both acknowledge all of these things happen. We both acknowledge that it's not in part of some of the things that have happened in the black community is not necessarily just an excuse, it's an explanation.
Right.
But do we agree that it does not prevent you from...
Okay, well, we have some Andy DeLevers from chat. Destiny, my step-aunt, is one of those special needs teachers. She's a piece of shit.
Becoming successful in doing those things today.
I think yes and which is again the practice that I like to do is a yes and, because I think that there are going to be people who transcend what life is kind of like put in their place. But I think for a lot of folks, like, it's just like if I have a above average ability, like if I'm 6'5", so it's like I have a leg up on somebody who might have also been the same level as I am in basketball or sports or something like that. But because I have height, I have a little bit higher of a chance. Like if I'm somebody who's from a similar neighborhood with the similar like IQ and all of that stuff, but my parents have access to things that these other parents don't, my outcomes are going to be different. And I think that's like, you're saying it like it's an excuse, where it's not so much of an excuse as it's like, I just want us to be able to have like some people transcend, some people go along with the, like you have a bell curve, like you have.
My brother taught at a low-income inner-city school, and it blew my mind. I actually lost faith in fixing poor black areas from the ground up. The vast majority of their day is physically restraining violent kids, chasing truancy issues, outbursts in class, etc. Most teachers don't even stay a full year. The turnover is that bad. Yeah, I think that's the thing I talked about when, there was some movie I saw recently, I don't remember it. And then A Good Time is another movie. I think that a lot of people that come from like middle class or upper class areas think that a poor dysfunctional experience in the United States is just kind of like the middle class but less money. So your meals aren't as nice, you don't have as many cars, you don't get to take vacations or whatever. But I don't think people realize the amount of like dysfunction that can exist inside of homes that are more dysfunctional. Like it's just, it's a whole other type of thing, that it's not just a money problem. It's a whole thing. It's a whole ass thing.
the people that's in the standard deviations outside of the mean, but like the outcomes over here and the outcomes over here are the ones that we tend to focus on, when it's like there's a lot of people in the middle who really just not getting a fair shake at it because these systems are in place that don't benefit us properly or effectively.
I think that
I have to pause here. It was a great debate, but you have been voted out by the majority. Well done. 3, 2, 1.
Hi again.
You're back.
I am. So I do want to isolate this cause, you think, of black disenfranchisement just over the course of history, because the thing I keep hearing you say is culture, right? But in psychology, we have this debate between nature and nurture, all right?
Okay.
Every decision, the patterns that come from different populations can be caused by either one of two things. It's like your material conditions, okay, this is the culture you're talking about. This is like attitudes, okay, and behavioral patterns. Or it's like...
I don't know if I agree with the way she stated that. Culture and stuff, I feel, are outside of material conditions now. I thought material conditions, like pretty strictly, at least in a Marxist sense, refers to like basically your class and the amount of wealth and everything. But I feel like she meant environmental.
What you said? I missed it.
Well, it sounded like she was just explaining like environmental stuff versus like genetic stuff or biological stuff, maybe. But she said
like nature versus nurture.
Kind of, yeah, because that's what she just said for like psychologists, like nature or nurture or whatever. But then she's material conditions. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know. But
genetically, in some way, you are different from other populations. Like you naturally have less of an inclination towards success. So for black people, I have to ask you, which one is it?
No, I definitely don't think black people have a less inclination towards success.
This is a really good question.
Some DNA makeup. Perfect. Black people do have,
because like, how do you explain? Because the thing that they want to retreat after you push that question is like, well, it's because of all these cultural problems. Like, okay, fine. Why do they have a worse culture? And then they'll maybe retreat to the, well, actually, it's because the welfare state destroyed the black family. And it's like, oh, okay. Why did the welfare state destroy the black family? And then I don't know how you, at some point, I think you just have to say, I guess, like, black people are just racially inferior to white people. Like, I don't know how you escape.
She's like walking him through the.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Right,
I don't know if
let's
she'll get
back
there.
To the old shit, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't actually know what her perspective is. But yeah, I always wanted to hear this like line of questioning.
A DNA, I guess, expression that makes them a lot more proficient in sports. I mean, that's an advantage. But when you're talking about, like, so your point is very broad. Systemic racism, does it affect you today, and does it affect your life moving forward? I do not believe so.
If you believe that nurture, right, is the cause, right, of black people acting differently, it's not something biological here. We have to ask, okay, when it comes to culture,
it can be in part biological.
Biologically,
generational trauma could be biological.
but that comes from, like, again, social standards, okay, issues that are replicated from the material conditions. When I say material conditions, I'm talking about what is around you, what is the infrastructure of your life, okay, what systems are you born into, okay? So if we can recognize that right, is where the cause is lying, my question to you is gonna be, again, where has this equalizer been, right, in the whole status quo between white folks and black folks?
Let's put it this way. I'm hoping that we can get to a conclusion of understanding, because you keep saying black people as if we uniquely are the only people who are dealing with certain issues in poverty. White poor people experience a lot of similar things as black people.
But not segregation and not redlining.
It's not.
Right?
But when you say redlining, when I just told you when you look at the historicity of redlining, majority of the people who were in the red line district were white.
I can't wait for the fact check for this one.
92%.
I'm going to be so
I'm going to tell you right now. Okay?
No, black
92%. Listen to me. Let me explain it.
Explicitly a factor.
No, it was not explicitly a factor.
Oh, it was.
I have heard this. He's going to do they were just going for people with bad credit scores, and can you blame them?
And I can't wait for the fact check to show that part too.
I hope they do. When you're talking about the creation of the red line from the HOLC corporation, it's a lot of things in my mind. When you look at the delineation line, when they drew the red line, that was after discrimination had already existed.
And what did the red lines do?
The red lines were more of a revelation of what was happening, more so than a demarcation that created it. Because
sure. I mean, you maybe could argue this, but like this would be like an example then, I would say, of like systemic racism or structural racism or something, where you didn't need like racist actors. You could just have a system that had racist stuff in the past. Now that stuff is gone, but like the impacts of it are still felt because parts of the system still intentionally are not perpetuated, basically.
They had already been.
Although I'm pretty sure for racist stuff, for redlining stuff, like a lot of this did have like racial considerations explicitly as a thing, I'm pretty sure. If not formally, then definitely informally. But
none of because you haven't looked it up. That's why. That's why you haven't looked it up.
Black people really are naturally better at athletic sports, though. No, I don't think that's ever solidly been demonstrated. I think there are certain ethnic groups that have higher propensities for certain things, but even that's debated. I remember chasing this down a long time ago related to Kenya or Nigeria. Do these countries have mountains? Do these people live in higher elevations? Because I feel like there was a debate on like why are they so good at running or something, and then people do the black people have more fast twitch muscle fibers or whatever. But then I don't know if it was an elevation thing or if it was just like a culture thing. When you go to these like cultures, these people like walk and run a lot. It's a ton, and I don't know if like to some extent this is okay. Now, there's a whole bunch of like crazy, messy race realists argument. Listen, the race realists aren't wrong about everything also, okay? The people that are like, there's absolutely no aggregate differences between groups of people. This is probably not true, but this is the issue, okay? If we imagine a given trait, if we imagine that a given trait can exist on a scale like this, I think that the issue is that like people that fall too hard on the race realist side of things imagine that traits are like this or like this. So if like this is like the white man and this is like the black man or something, that like this is what the differences are. And you can see there's like the white people are dramatically outclassing the black people here. Whereas I think in reality, it's more kind of like this. Like there's probably aggregate differences. I think you have to give that there are aggregate differences in certain traits between groups of people, but there's a ton of in-group variation as well. And people tend to dramatically over-exaggerate, I think, like the aggregate differences between groups of people. But I mean, you have to, if we believe in genetics, we have to concede to some extent that there are going to be some differences that we concede at the very least in skin color, right? That there are going to be some differences. And then how prone people are to certain diseases, like black people can have sickle cell anemia, and et cetera, et cetera. Or I don't know if that's, I don't know if it's right to say black or if it's certain ethnic black groups or whatever, but.
Because they had
What I'm
already
hearing
been,
here
there
is
had,
not
no, because you haven't looked it
coming
up.
to a
That's why.
synthesis.
That's why. You
I
haven't
did a
looked
lot
it
of
up.
looking up.
Well, you didn't do enough. So
Okay.
some of these discriminatory practices by lenders occurred way before there was a red line. The negative effects of redlining affected white people and black people.
How about this?
Disproportionately affecting black
Okay,
people.
how about this? Let's get back to the cause of black individuals' strife in America, okay? I want you to isolate again, for me, if it's not biological, where is this culture coming from? How does it happen?
It's like, for instance, when you look at black culture,
Okay.
30s, 40s,
So now we're
50s,
running down this, but where did the black
it's very
culture come
different
from?
than today. There was no gangster hip hop music. That was talking about killing and thugging and smashing every day. That didn't exist. Black families were intact at a higher rate. Black entrepreneurship was up. Education was prioritized in the black community. We begin to see that degrade over time. So it's impossible almost to say slavery caused black people to be here. We're not accounting for the explosion of success here in the black community.
Okay.
And I'm saying that the degrading of culture, people falling away from God, not marrying the people they have children with, all of those contributing factors that are perpetuated by black people has caused a lot of the problems that we see
When
today.
we talk about things like rap music, okay, when we talk about the hip hop and whatever,
Yeah.
what is being talked about in these songs? It's obviously
Degeneracy.
shootings, okay? It's like life experiences are what are being discussed, okay? And when we look at those life experiences,
Glorifying life experiences.
they're much more so being concentrated in black areas, and that was true in the 30s and 40s and 50s.
No, it was
hold on,
nowhere
hold on,
near.
hold on, hold on, hold on,
It was
hold on.
nowhere
I would love
near
to see
the
the statistics.
concentration
I would
of-
love to see the statistics
Wait,
on.
the Bloods and Crips, was there Bloods and Crips in the
like,
30s?
I want to get like three sentences out.
Go ahead.
That's important in this debate. Okay, so once again, 30s, 40s, 50s, there was segregation. Again, we all know this. There
But
was,
black people still
I still
persevered
didn't get,
through.
That wasn't even one sentence I got out. Do you recognize that?
We got the
Yeah,
time
we got
limit.
time
Come on,
going
I gotta
down. And for us to be on the same page, we have to understand the same kind of history. So I didn't get any, like, there was no statistic that, or there's no kind of facts about the wealth in the 30s or 40s, 50s that you gave me,
Well,
well, hold on, right? What I'm trying to tell you, right, is that this disparity has existed even in those times you're talking about, where there wasn't any, expressions of culture that had to do with music. There was still disenfranchisement. There was still a lack of resources. HBCUs were still underfunded in those time periods. And we saw that black people, for the most part, did not have home equity, which is the greatest way that you can essentially create generational wealth. That was all true.
But yes, some of what you're saying is true, but I don't think it's the end all be all in success of black people today. Like, for instance, all of the things that you're referring to, hundreds of years ago, 60 years ago, I'm asking you right now, do those things that happened then have a profound negative effect on black people in perpetuity?
Of course, and I'll tell you
I
why.
have to stop here.
Property
The clock has run out.
That's why. Anyway.
I'm so sorry. Thank you guys. In the final debate, Officer Tatum gets 10 minutes uninterrupted. There's been a lot of conversations here today. Officer Tatum, it's up to you now to choose, look around, think carefully. Who would you like to continue the conversation with?
God dang it, that's a hard one. It's hard. It's hard to pick. I think I had a few that I would like to finish.
They all got a lot of energy. They all want to talk.
I want the gentleman in the green shirt.
All right. Do you have a claim?
Yes, I do.
All right.
All right, good to see you again.
Yes.
So, Officer Tatum, why have you chosen Travanti?
Well, because I think he's acting in good faith. Seemed like an
Wow.
educated guy. We
Bad
had a
faith
spirited debate, and I
accusations.
felt like it was fair. And so I had plenty of people I would like to finish the conversation with, but I think this would be the best one.
My surrounded claim is black people do not support Democrats because of welfare.
Uh-oh.
Well, hey, I think we agree on that in part. I don't think black people supported the Democrat Party is just because of welfare. I think it's because of manipulation. You have not seen a single group of people disproportionately voting for one party in almost the history of this country like black people have, which I think is a shame, and it's the reason why the black community is devastated the way it is. Because when you sell your soul to one party, they don't have to do anything for you, and they haven't done anything for black people. And then once you sell to one side, the other side don't have a vested interest in doing anything to support you because they'll never get your support anyway. I would argue, and my whole premise with this is I'm hopeful that black people will begin to consider their own self-interests when they vote outside of party line.
So I would like to say it is not a shame. It actually proves that black people are smarter than conservatives give them credit for. Because the fact of the matter is black people, well, let me ask you this. What year did blacks begin voting en masse for the Democratic Party? Do you know?
It began in the 30s and 40s.
You're right. Okay, so it began in 1930.
Began, not as prolific as it is today, but it began there.
So originally, African Americans voted for the Republican Party squarely because of the legislative efforts of Abraham Lincoln and
it's Republican versus Democrat rather than
the
liberal and
radical
conservative.
Republicans in Congress. They continued to vote for them right up until the New Deal. The reason why things shifted is because after the radical Republicans left Congress, the Republican Party stepped back and allowed the Confederacy to make a comeback in the form of the Ku Klux Klan.
The Ku Klux Klan was a Democrat military arm of the Democrat Party.
Democrat. I'll be clear.
That was the Democrats.
I will be clear.
Against Republicans.
The federal government allowed the Ku Klux Klan to stop black people from voting.
Democrats.
Stop them from owning homes. Stop them from social mobility that was upwards.
Democrat government.
Wait, is pogrom is like state-sanctioned violence, basically, right? Or at the very least, the state allows it to happen unnoticed. Pogroms don't have to be against Jews, right? Pogrom, it's pogrom. Or maybe do they? Do we ever call like KKK riots or like the Tulsa race riots? Why do we never call those things pogroms? Or do we? And I missed that maybe. Oh, it's only used against Jews because they weren't pog.
No. It was Republicans too.
No, it was not. It was not Republicans.
Listen. There was a spate of Republican presidencies after Lincoln was assassinated. Okay, and guess what? That was when the Klan became stronger and stronger and stronger. And so the talking point that they would always repeat is, we freed you, now pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But what they didn't realize is that you cannot pull yourself up by your bootstraps when you are being terrorized through racial violence by the Ku Klux Klan.
Democrat Party.
And so guess what? One of the things that...
Why won't you acknowledge that it was the Democrat
hold on a
Party?
second. One of the things that Martin Luther King advocated for was the federal government stepping in, and he wrote about this in Striving Toward Freedom.
That's his problem.
He said that they needed to intervene in local situations because local governments were not protecting blacks from racial violence. No.
Democrats.
Now,
let me say the Republican Party was established to combat the Democrat Party from their proliferation of racism, slavery.
No.
100%.
Slavery, yes.
Slavery, yes.
No, but not racism.
Later, racism and discrimination against blacks. The Ku Klux Klan was established as the military arm of the Democrat Party.
No.
Democrats did not unanimously vote for the right for blacks to be free, to have citizenship, and to vote. The Democrats did not. Republicans unanimously voted for that. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're talking about.
Can you answer that?
You're talking about the 1860s. After that,
I'm
they did nothing.
The Republican Party.
They did absolutely
has
nothing.
Been a
Now
party
let me
that
give you this.
Blacks.
So, during.
But why don't you address that?
What part?
That the Republican Party unanimously voted
during the 1860s,
and the Republican Party unanimously voted for the Civil Rights Act.
After
the Civil Rights Act, unanimous by Republicans, not Democrats.
Yeah, because of the efforts of LBJ.
Okay, we have 5 minutes. What has Democrats done for black people
I
in
will
America?
tell you.
Give me policy and give me a reason why
I will tell you.
A person like me would vote for the Democrats at the current state that they're in now.
Right, I'll give you
got to
two.
explain. We can't do a whole theological thing.
I will give you
I need you to answer that. I got 5 minutes.
I will give you two.
4 now.
So number one was underneath Roosevelt. The number...
We can't go through this.
No.
Give me the policy position now that I should go for.
Guess what?
We're going to do a whole history lesson.
No,
we run out of time.
underneath Donald Trump placed 3 Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court, and they overturned affirmative action in terms of schools. That was created
because it's not necessary for us to continue in affirmative action.
It is 100%
It is not necessary. This is what holds black people down.
No, that's not true.
We have the opportunity
to
work and do things on our own merit.
That is
we
not
do not
true.
need
I'm going to tell you
discrimination.
something. I'm going to tell you something.
For us to be successful in this country.
That's not discrimination.
We are starting to now
that is
discriminate
reversing
against
discrimination.
Others.
No, we're not.
We are starting to discriminate against others.
Then why is there such an enormous wealth disparity if other people are being discriminated against?
Why is there a wealth disparity between Asians and whites?
What do you
white people? Asian people make tremendous amount more money than white people on average
because of the relationship that the
people.
United States has.
And why
with
do black
China.
people? But why do black people, immigrants who come over here, are more educated, they have less crime. All of these statistical data points that immigrants who come over here do better, black immigrants, than black citizens here.
They don't have the history of oppression.
Black immigrants than black citizens here.
They don't have the history of oppression in this country that we have.
What does that tell you? That tell you.
It tells you that the thing that is most offensive to white liberals, to white conservatives, is the descendants of those slaves found.
Did you see that Hassan and friends were pushing a lie about Stevens' campaign, saying a leak showed she's unelectable? I saw this everywhere yesterday. I think I asked Chad about this, but I think this was just there was the original account that posted it. It has like 50,000 followers, but I was scrolling and I didn't see anything credible on this account. It feels like this was a coordinated thing where all the lefties were just pushing this to try to, I guess, maybe discourage Stevens voters. But I couldn't find a source for this claim at all. And then her pollster came out this morning, I think, and said it was all bullshit.
Oh my God, Haley internal leaked? Haley internal leaked?
So who originated this claim? Because I feel like they should get a fucking...
I don't think that
Can
this
you get a
is...
sue?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, unless internal pollster, maybe if it's referring to that particular person, maybe they could sue.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be careful with some election stuff because some of it is actually like illegal. So like you can't lie to people about where to go and vote.
Where to go vote or whatever.
Or like how to sign up for voting. Those are considered crimes. I think this claim was just completely and totally made up.
Allegedly, Haley Stevens' pollsters called her up and told her there's no path to victory. There's obviously a mole in the campaign because I heard an hour ago that a pollster called her and she's down by 14 points. Is this raps for the Haley Stevens campaign?
The especially pernicious thing about this too is that that person that tweeted that literally said that they had 4 sources on it as well. So it seemed, it read really credible if you didn't take anything out of it. Yeah.
Campaign ahead of Tuesday. Update has now been triple confirmed by staffers close to the campaign. I mean, that's not surprising. It's just if an internal is showing 14, I might be right. Remember, I told you 2 things. I said 60 and I said plus 20. But the people that I've talked to, on the ground, like, you know, their estimates are far more conservative than mine. Oh my God.
Dude, he's actually, if Haley Stevens wins, he's actually going to lose it.
Maybe. Not really, though. These people always have, like, good defense mechanisms. The nice thing about buying into conspiracies is you never actually lose ever. You always get to write it off as, like, some other reason. So I actually think it gives you a whole bunch of tenacity that people don't.
Oh, yeah. I meant, like, he's going to go full conspiracy mode of, like, oh, here's the reason that the deep state, like, came in and, like, I guess they wouldn't say deep state. They would use the word establishment.
Sure.
Came in
Well,
and, like, took over.
No. Close. Go ahead. Think for 2 seconds. What are they going to use? You're thinking too hard.
I mean, they would call him racist.
No, too hard. You're thinking too hard.
Shit libs.
If she loses, who are they going to blame?
The Democrats?
AIPAC.
Oh, true.
It'll be AIPAC. 1 trillion percent.
Yeah, right. The Jews.
Traditional black Americans, whatever you kind, actually experiencing social mobility.
But let me explain this to you. This is my point being proven. It's not about color, it's about decisions.
No,
because
it is about color when it comes to black people in America.
No, a black person can come over here from a foreign country and be very
that's
successful
not true.
and race that are higher than
That's
black
not true.
citizens.
Those
That is
differences are
facts.
wildly exaggerated.
It's not wildly exaggerated, it is a
Yes,
fact.
they are.
Because there's no policy in
That is
place
not
right now
true.
that will stop you from doing anything that white people can
You
do.
know, what do
Name
you
one.
actually believe that systemic
Name one.
racism is?
You're saying there's systems in place, or there's a continuation of either systems, policies that are in place that are disenfranchising black people. Name one of them.
So let me explain.
Name one. We got to make it quick. Name
We've
one.
already named a number. We've named
What policy
affirmative
stopped you
action.
from being successful?
I haven't been stopped from being successful.
Why?
Well, if you look at the data,
Hold on, let me stop you real quick. We'll get to that.
Right.
No, I just want to do a quick poll. Raise your
Isn't
hand.
it a big
if
issue that
there's-
you don't know when you're being stopped because you're like black or whatever?
A little bit, but also like this guy might be. Chances are everybody here is exceptional. Like they all live in California. They're all like decently well spoken. They're all getting invited to be on a show like Jubilee. Like every person here is probably an exceptional person. So you can't really use the people in here as like a foundation for your argument if you're arguing like a societal wide thing.
Yeah.
White supremacy.
It's like being in Congress and being like, how many of you here have felt like extreme racism or whatever? And like it's 90% fucking white people. It's like, well, okay.
Sure. Well, but also unless you're Ro Khanna, then he feels
True.
that racism when he goes to
Only
the
in
West
Israel,
Bank.
though.
Only in Israel.
Supremacy have stopped you from being successful in America. No. I'm talking about right now.
Yes, keep it personal.
Some of you can
Like not like truthfully, I mean, unless you have like a highly specific example, like none of these people have probably explicitly and specifically been hardcore kept on by racism because all of these people have made it. But like that's the selection for being on the show. So of course these people are are not going to have necessarily the same thing to talk about there. But you're always speaking
This
about
is just a shitty poll.
in averages and on the aggregate. Yeah, because like if we play this game, like this is like I think every single person on the planet should just be a streamer, right? Obviously, you can become wealthy and successful, and you don't have to go to college or anything. But like that's
It's
stupid.
easy.
And then if I pull between me and Mooten, then it's like, well, yeah.
See, others cannot. I have a scar on my knee, on my leg. I was impacted by the healthcare system not supporting Black women when my leg was broke in 2 places. I was on blood thinners. I couldn't have Tylenol because I'm allergic to Tylenol.
Yeah, this
Couldn't
could
have
also just be because you're a woman, though. Like, genuinely, doctors don't take
Yeah.
women's like pain and stuff seriously.
True, but
Like,
it also could be you just had a shitty experience with the doctor too. I mean, like white people do
Yeah,
as well. So it's hard to know
100%.
exactly when it's like a racial thing as well, which is annoying too. But yeah.
Bill, they wanted to give me opiums, and I refused. I told them I did not want that. I told them I struggle with morphine. Do you have anything else to please provide me? And they refused. They only gave me the opiates. And they told me that I had to just go with whatever. Only to hear from a Black doctor 2 weeks later that I could have just had a muscle relaxer. Those doctors actively chose not to do their research to find a better way for me to go through less pain. They decided they wanted me to experience pain from a broken leg. You wanted me to raw dog all that pain on nothing. On nothing.
Okay, so I used to work as an assistant manager at the mall, and I had a white manager, right? There was a huge discrepancy in the count of sales of the hats inside the store. And because I was, for whatever reason, right, the target, they hired trained law enforcement to come and interrogate me under the pretense of first, like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, how's your money troubles? How's this? How's that? Just to essentially lock me into a story where I was committing this retail fraud, right? They had at least 40 hours of store footage of me working my shifts where there wasn't a single instance of me stealing anything. But because I'm the only dark-skinned Black person working in the store, they had someone try to come and frame me for a crime, essentially.
I'm currently getting my MBA from Berkeley Haas, and as a result of Trump's policies removing DEI and such, my scholarship was removed.
Damn.
And this has caused, in addition to his new policies, it's caused a cap on the loans. I'm currently financially struggling because I have to figure out how I'm going to pay for my next year's school.
Basically, when I was younger, there was an officer at our school who would always kind of interrogate me every day. I never said anything because, unfortunately, what can you say when you're Black and alone? You kind of got to go with it and just go about your day. And the officer was never disciplined.
Financial racism. I'm first generation person to go to college out of my family. I had to fill out the FAFSA. I was specifically disproportionately targeted for predatory loans. I got into 3 colleges. The only college that offered full scholarship, which is an HBCU, the State College, University of South Carolina, specifically targeted me with multiple loans instead of offering scholarships. Later, when I started working, because I was low income, so I had to continue to make money and also go to college, I had to take on those predatory loans, which then put me behind after I graduated as far as being able to accomplish the next level. Specifically, if you take a look at the way that they finance the loans inside of the United States of America, it's disproportionately Black people have these loans where white people get specific grants, even though if you look at the actual transcripts and the testing, they're very, very parallel.
I'd just like to say that the idea of us having to explain racism to a Black man is absurd. That's all I got.
Okay.
I have experienced discrimination. The reason I responded no to your question was if it held me back. No, it didn't hold me back because I fought against the discrimination, but I was discriminated against when I was looking for housing, when I was trying to get my master's degree. One guy even told me it's not because you're Black. When I saw a bunch of white people, he did not want to give me housing. I was also targeted by the police on multiple occasions. And then 2 weeks after Donald Trump became president, I was on my lunch break at my job and a white guy drove past me and yelled white power. He was emboldened because of Trump's rhetoric, and that
Like, far be it for me to speak against the experiences of other people's. One, you don't really know how many of these things are racially driven. You know, like, obviously a lot of white people get fucked over by predatory loans as well. I think this actually puts like a bad burden on black people or minorities, whatever, to try to figure out, like, is there a time you've experienced racism? Because, like, chances are there's probably a lot of times where you might be experiencing it, but you actually don't even know. Because, I mean, like, assume somebody sees a certain name on a job application or sees you and makes some decision about you, and this has some impact on you. You might never even know that the person saw you to make this determination, because why would you? Maybe they pass you over for something and you have no fucking idea whatsoever. I feel like it's kind of an unfair burden shift. Like, you kind of have to look at the data in the aggregate to try to figure out what's going on, and then it's kind of complicated to figure that out. But
I've been called the N-word just walking on the street multiple times by white people who feel emboldened by Trump's rhetoric. And so I have struggled against difficult odds, but it hasn't stopped me because there's something inside of me that is determined to succeed, and it's because I want to help people. I want to be that person that I did not have. And so black people have striven against nearly insurmountable odds. That does not mean...
I've heard crazy stories about people getting more job offers after changing their ethnic names. Yeah, like, that sounds crazy, and a lot of white people or a lot of conservatives will pretend that that's, like, not a real thing. Mooten, do you know that Ted Cruz is, I think, Cuban?
Yep.
Do you know what his real name is?
It is like a Cuban ass name.
His name is Raphael.
He ain't Ted. Oh, Raphael. There it is. Yeah. He ain't Ted.
Yeah. His name was Raphael Cruz, and he renamed himself to Ted. So, I mean, like, to pretend that, to engage in stuff like this and to pretend that there is no discrimination or whatever, but, like, why? Come on. And there's a few examples of this. I don't remember the others off the top of my head, but, like, yeah, cringe.
That there is not systemic racism.
So,
didn't you stream on stream? You say you LARPed as a Hispanic for favorable school. I applied to all the Hispanic school loans. Hell yeah, you
I
better fucking
applied as a
believe it.
Hispanic too.
Hell yeah.
You might as well use it if you got it. You might as well use it. Fuck it.
Well, I actually wasn't gonna respond at first because of
That's
just
why
like
I
he
think
said.
women a lot of the times are like, oh, I don't want to like use my looks or whatever to get ahead. But like, you being a woman is going to like hold you back in so many ways in like the streaming career. You might as well use what you got.
Yeah, I remember
think
saying
it's
this when it came
stupid
time to
not
like when it was like Zerging and Rust or anything like that, where it's like I have to deal with all the downsides of being a streamer. So fuck it, if people are gonna stream snipe me with 400 fucking people because they think it's epic to kill streamer, well, then fuck it, I'm gonna use my whole fucking audience to to build and do shit, because why the fuck wouldn't I? If I have to deal with the downsides, why wouldn't I deal with the upsides? Yeah. I will say also that like not to pull the whole DEI thing, but if you can succeed as a minority, the opportunities out there for you, like if you're a black person or like a woman of color and you're like well educated and speak well and you have like an engineering degree or whatever, if you can make it through that filter, you can get mega opportunities because people really want
like the one
and it's just
whatever.
it obviously looks really good. Yeah.
I don't think that it held me back, but I actually had a full EEOC claim that I got fired based off of my race. And it took me years to get like my back pay and everything like that. And the basis is that there was like a discrepancy for like $35. And they tried to compare that to somebody at the same job who had did something for like 3,000 plus. And they tried to put us in the same basket when I just took the 35 out my wallet and tried to be like, oh, like it was a mistake. They fired me for that. But then on top of that, I came to find out from my coworkers that they had said things like, they needed to staff the store based off of the demographics of the city, and that there were too many black people working in there, that it was like driving down the consumerism. So at the end of the day, it didn't prevent me from being great. Like I was gonna be great regardless, you feel me? So that wasn't why I wanted to speak up, but it happens, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not bad to say. I don't, I'm gonna just stop because I see bro tripping, so we good.
Honest to God truth, I have never experienced.
That was probably the time guy. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Systemic racism or anything. Or racism. I've experienced a person say something racist to me, but it has no material effect on my life. It didn't stop me from doing nothing.
Okay, him talking to the audience is so much more interesting than the actual Jubilee format. Like this is way more
I guess, but
interesting.
that was like they had a moment there. They probably enforced people to not scream at each other and to chill and everything. So. But.
N-word while I was a cop, and it I don't think it hurt me for 35/10 of a second. So I have never had anything racist, systematically that have prevented me from becoming as successful as I am today. Not one.
It's also kind of sad because like this is one of the conservatives live in such a conundrum of a fucking world. Like this is one of the rare times where you probably should stop as a conservative and recognize that like this Officer Tatum guy, I mean, just based on the little I've seen of it, and the fact that he's a content creator and everything else, right? This guy probably is an exceptional person. Like he probably does have an exceptional level of tenacity, such that this guy might actually be able to deal with people being actually racist and shit, and him not being as bothered by it. Like that, he might just have that personality type. I mean, like the idea that has to be like an expectation for the average black person, or that every person can be at that level of tenacity, I just think it's kind of like an unfair burden to place on anybody.
Thing. Now, can I respond to what everybody's saying? I think that when I listen to everybody's statement, there is no unequivocal proof that what happened to you was specifically because the color of your skin. And we are talking about systemic. We're not talking about one-offs. You guys are giving a scenario. No. What I'm saying is that the occurrence that you're alluding to seems to be a one-off thing. It's not systemic. It's not a system in place. There's no evidence.
All right, Officer Tatum, I'm gonna have to stop you all. Santana, I'm gonna have to stop you all here because that's all we have time for. We tried something new, all right, so we are out of time now. I wanna thank you all. You really brought your passion and your energy. I really appreciate you guys so much. Respect. Give yourselves a round of applause.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. All right, Officer Tatum, I also want to thank you for listening to everyone and being really graceful. I know it's not easy, so I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Now, it's been a great conversation. Would you be willing to continue this conversation on our podcast?
Yes, I would love to.
All right, well, I thank you so much, and I thank you guys in the audience for watching. I'm sure you have a lot of opinions after watching this one, so please let us know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.
Wow.
And I would argue, I don't think anybody that I've posed this question to have directly told me that this was proven racism systemically that caused me to have this negative outcome, and that it has a negative outcome that affects my success in life.
A lot of his arguments.
Like a lot of the times you just don't know. Like you'll have no idea. Like I bring this up sometimes when people talk about I don't know if they still do this. People used to make fun of the whole like, oh, we just need more basketball courts so that black people won't commit crime. Like you think that's what matters? But it's like when people talk about things for school, and I bring up like after school programs. People talk about things like, you didn't sell drugs as a kid, or you didn't get up into this type of mischief or whatever. Like I wouldn't even know how to sell drugs as a kid. I don't know who the fuck I would talk to. I don't know where the fuck I would get the drugs from. Like those are things on TV shows. Like that's not even like an option to me. It's not like I didn't overcome as a child the temptation to become a drug dealer. That like it wasn't even an option in my life to think about that. So, but that's the thing that depending on the environment you grow up in, like you might be dealing with things or overcoming things that you don't even realize that you have to overcome. It's just like built into your upbringing, and you don't even realize, especially as a kid. You have no idea as a kid how fucked up your life can be, and sometimes it's not until you reapproach or reengage with your life afterwards that you realize, like, oh shit, a lot of this was not okay.
I think every Midwestern kid that's white needs to watch The Wire. It's not
True,
exact, probably, but it
we're
gives
an
you
enlightened
perspective
breed. We're an
that
enlightened
you will never
people.
have otherwise, man.
Hell yeah.
Lacked context, like historical context, and I think it's clear that he needs to read much more.
I think the debate went well in the sense that all of the speakers were well prepared and points were made that were very salient. However,
Who does the
I
joke
know
about
that
the
we
baby
did not
selling crack on the corner? Is that Chappelle?
Yeah, it is Chappelle.
change his mind because this is his job, and anytime you bring money into the equation, hearts are hardened and opinions become more inflexible.
And I think kind of the goal of tokenism and the reason why Trump likes him is not because Trump is not racist, but because Trump needs a token black person to excuse his racism.
For the people who are out here watching, I'm just hoping they take away a different perspective from the one they already have. So even those who agree with me, hopefully they listen to others and gain some knowledge from what other people have to say. And people who disagree with me, that they listen to some of the things that I have to say and just be open-minded to consider it, that we can be spirited, but we can actually sit down and talk to each other and come to some commonalities.
What do you think of how selective breeding during slavery, mistakenly gave race realists evidence for their bullshit? Well, one, I'm not even sure. I don't know how effective like selective breeding practices would have even been. I'm not sure how widely those were enforced, but I think the big issue would be, I don't know how many generations of people would this impact. Like, I don't know if you're going enough generations deep to start to breed massively disparate genomes or whatever from one group to the next.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.